is open again, and he makes it 3 in a row.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba! Truly a Mickey 3 there. Into the box for Espeleta. Espeleta with the cross. Inside and in for Rogers.
3-2 pitch on its way from Kehoe. And that one is ripped through the left side for a base hit. The tying run will come in to score.
Turnover. Won by Velasquez. Inside give to Destime. Off the glass and in.
Rowan heading for the touchpad with the lead. And the props will take the men's 400-yard freestyle relay.
Collins running out of real estate. Heads back upfield. 25 to the 30. The 35 to 40. The 45 to 50. He has only Kovalevsky to beat. Gets through him. The 10 and touchdown for Collins.
Johnson to LaFaro. Corner three-pointer. Splash.
Bada bing, bada boom. Everyone's going crazy in the room. From the Ann M. Dorner Field in Ossining, New York, the PDF Sports Network is proud to welcome you into continuing coverage of the Elite Football Alliance. Today, in a Week 5 matchup, the 2-1 Brooklyn Pharaohs, coming off of a huge win last week, look to stay hot against the 0-2 New York Legion, still looking for their first win and their first points of the 2022 regular season. Hello, everyone. I'm David Pizzuto alongside Joe Foreman. And Joe, we're about at the halfway point of the EFA season, and many of the EFA teams are reaching the halfway mark of their respective schedules. And by now we're getting a sense of which teams we think will be there in the end, battling for a championship, and which may be relegated to calling this a rebuilding season. We have an example, perhaps, of each of those teams here today.
We certainly do, Dave. And first, we'll shift our attention over to the Brooklyn Pharaohs, a team that we did not cover last week. We did get a look at this Legion team last week, so we will start with taking a look over at the Brooklyn Pharaohs. And the Pharaohs ranked highly in the EFA across several key categories. We took a look at the Gators last weekend and saw that they were ranked first in each of these major categories by the end of their matchup with the Legion. But heading into this week, the Pharaohs ranked second in points per game, just behind the Gators with over 37 points per game. They've allowed just shy of 11 points per game. That's good for second in the EFA. They're third in total yards per game at 197. They also are third in passing yards per game, just shy of 145. They're only fourth in rushing at 52.5 yards per game. So if the Legion can slow down this Pharaohs passing game here this afternoon, that should be a good first step towards, hopefully for New York, claiming their first victory of the season.
Right, and the Brooklyn Pharaohs are the defending EFA champs. We saw them win, Joe, you and I, a hard-fought battle with the New York Bears on the opening weekend of the season, a game that they really only took over in the fourth quarter. They then lost to the undefeated Gators by 4 points, a game in which they had the ball first and goal and were held late in the fourth quarter of that one. But they took their anger out on the Bandits last week, Joe. 70-0, the most lopsided game in EFA history, Joe. It's safe to say after that loss to the Gators, the Pharaohs are back.
I think that's very fair to say, Dave. The Pharaohs with a statement victory over the New York Bandits last week. The Bandits have been struggling. We saw them a couple of weeks ago. You covered their game against the New York Bears. The week prior to that, I saw them take on the Empire State Demon Knights. I don't believe the Bandits scored in either of those games. So really tough start for the Bandits this year. They are at the bottom of the EFA standings. But taking a look at some of the leaders on the offensive side of the ball for the Brooklyn Pharaohs, a team that, as you mentioned, scored 70 points in their last game. Kareem Williams, of course, leading the way for that offense at the quarterback position. He leads the EFA in completion percentage, is second in quarterback rating, and third in passing yards, one of three quarterbacks who has thrown for over 250 yards in the EFA this season. What I did notice, and this goes back to the point I made about the rushing of the Pharaohs, they come in fourth in rushing at 52.5 yards per game. Their top two running backs have only attempted 21 rushes on the season. As for Kareem Williams, the quarterback, he has run the ball 12 times this year, so he's certainly a weapon in the running game in addition to his ability at the quarterback position to air the ball out. We saw a lot of that in Week 1. That game played all the way back in the season opener earlier this year against the New York Bears.
Yeah, Reem Williams always a threat for MVP honors in this league as well. Of course, the Pharaohs only in their second year in the EFA, but he had himself a sensational season last year and, of course, on pace for it again this year. And, Joe, the other thing that we saw in the game that we covered way back on opening day between the Pharaohs and the Bears, but even in the games against the Gators and again last week, the Pharaohs have a multi-pronged attack, and we've seen them score on offense. We've seen them score on defense. We've seen them score on special teams. The long story short is that they simply don't allow you to take a play off.
They certainly don't, Dave. And speaking of players who scored on defense and special teams, how about Davin Collins? He leads the EFA in touchdowns this year with 3. We saw him score a pair back in week 1. He had a pick 6 and a kick return. That kick return for Collins is the only kick return in the EFA this year. The other special teams touchdown coming on a punt return. So Collins has been a force for the Pharaohs defensively, and we said it, that offense really came to life in their game last week. It was a huge showing for them against the Bandits. I highlighted some of the weapons they have on that side of the ball. In addition to having Collins, the league leader in touchdowns, in pass deflections, and in several other categories, Collins has really been fantastic. Malachi Bucknall also leads the league in sacks with 2.5 sacks. So they have a couple of big league leaders on the defensive side of the ball, including 2 other players, one being Bucknall and Romario Vincent among the leaders in tackles in the EFA as well. Those 2 Pharaohs among those league leaders in tackles, trailing 5 New York Bears. But if I'm not mistaken, the Pharaohs may have only had stats updated for their first 2 games. So I'm not sure if they have stats for Game 3 uploaded yet. We do know, of course, it was a big victory for Brooklyn over the Bandits in that 3rd game.
Yeah, they scored 10 touchdowns in that game, so if they're missing stats, they're missing a bunch of them. And, Joe, for the Pharaohs, their opponents today are the New York Legion. They come in 0-2. They're still looking to score their first points of the season. They've been outscored 82-0 through 8 quarters. And yet, Joe, there is a feeling throughout the entire league that this is a better Legion team than what they may have showed us so far. And although they may be huge underdogs today, there are a lot of folks who think that when this team turns the corner and starts putting things together, they could be a tough opponent for any team, including the Pharaohs.
Well, taking a look back at that game against the Gators last week, the Legion did not get off to a terrible start. Of course, they did have an opening drive turnover on the 2nd play from scrimmage in that game. So you would think that would lead to a very poor start for this New York team. However, they did bounce back very quickly on the defensive side of the ball, forcing a Gators turnover on downs, coming up with a big stop on the first drive of the game against a very prolific Harlem Gators offense. So the Legion defense did show an ability to step up on that side of the ball in last week's game against the Gators. They held Harlem to just 6 offensive points for much of the first half. Harlem led 6-0 in that game, failed on a 2-point try, and then added 2 more points on a safety. That safety followed what was a very unfortunate series of bounces on a kickoff return for the Legion. A penalty pushed them back inside of their own 1-yard line ahead of that safety. Our colleague Nick Durst speculated that maybe they might not try and run it in the end zone. They did hand the ball off, and that play was blown up for the safety in the end zone. Really, from that point forward, it was all Gators, but there were some positives to take for the Legion from very early in that game against Harlem and very late in that game against Harlem, where it certainly appeared as if their offense was starting to put things together.
And so that is a storyline, no doubt, to the Legion today. Limit yourself to just one opponent, Joe. In the game you covered last week, even in their first game against the Bears, we saw signs from this Legion team, but way too many good-looking drives stopped by turnovers, penalties, some missed assignments. In short, the Legion have to stop beating themselves out there.
They sure do. And we saw the Gators commit a lot of penalties early in that game as well. The difference between Harlem and New York last week, the Gators really cleaned things up as that game went along, and the Legion did not. They continued to commit some bad penalties throughout the game. They were gifted a first down at one point in that game by a Harlem Gators personal foul on a punt, but the Legion weren't able to make anything of that second chance offensively, and the game really spiraled out of control from that point forward. First the safety, then the failure to capitalize on that Harlem penalty, and things really got out of hand quickly in that game. But some bright spots in that game defensively for the Legion included Darren Glover. He made a lot of nice plays in the secondary, certainly someone who can be counted on for a couple of pass deflections in a game. He was involved in a lot of key plays, including a pass breakup on that opening drive, which resulted in a Gators turnover on downs. We also saw Danny Dedvacaj make some key tackles in that game. Glenn Boyd got some work on both offense and defense. So a lot of Legion players to look out for. Also some players missing that we expected to see. And We can go through those, but one other player who was there, Ralston Romero, who really began to break out on the ground late in that game, had some nice carries. Heading into last week's game, he only had 22 yards on 9 carries. He was certainly better than that last week, and they'll look to ride him for some additional yardage here today against the Pharaohs.
Yeah, and in case you just joined us and you're watching us for our premiere, our game has been delayed a few more minutes. I think they're expecting another referee, Joe, who is yet to take the field. But like this year, last year, these two teams met twice. The Pharaohs won. It was their first year in the league. The Pharaohs won both matchups. The second of those games decided by just 2 points. So perhaps we'll see another hard-nosed fight here in Ossining. So with the stage set, Joe and I will take a break. We'll step aside for some sponsors. And when we come back, we'll have opening kickoff between the defending champion Pharaohs and the Legion looking to defend their home turf for the first time this season. It's the EFA right here on the PDF Sports Network, pdfsportsnet.com. Stay with us. You can't have football without barbecue, and there is no barbecue without the Rib Room's Black's Barbecue, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance, serving up rib plates, chicken plates, and combo plates now. To get your official Black's Barbecue order, call 347-837-5762 or Facebook direct message Sean Kelman. Unbeatable Tires and Accessories LLC is your tire for all seasons. Visit us 7 days a week and call us now at 347-879-3100. A tire for all seasons at Unbeatable Tires and Accessories, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance. Welcome back to Dorner Field here in Ossining, New York. We are just moments away from opening kickoff here between the Pharaohs and the Legion. Joe, they met twice last year. They're going to meet twice this year. They meet again on the final weekend of the season. We'll take a look at the team comparison.
Let's get a look at the matchup by the numbers presented by the PDF Sports Network just ahead of kickoff. And there you see it on your screen. This Brooklyn team, as we mentioned, during the pregame comes in averaging just over 37 points per game. The Legion still looking to score for the first time this season. They have allowed an average of 40 points per game on the defensive side. However, their yards per game, passing yards, and rushing yards per game reflect their totals through just 1 week. That game was played in their first game of the season against the New York Bears. So there you see those numbers from the Legion matchup with the Bears, and we highlighted those Brooklyn Pharaohs numbers during the pregame, so you get a look at our matchup by the numbers. And one last thing we have to take a look at ahead of kickoff is the EFA standings. There you see those on your screen. These standings are accurate through Sunday, August 21st, 1 week ago. The Harlem Gators atop the standings with a record of 3-0. That position will be on the line this afternoon against the New York Bears. Gators and Bears, a matchup that many have been looking forward to all week long. Here today on the PDF Sports Network, we have the Pharaohs and the Legion. And for the second time this season, the Empire State Demon Knights meet the New York Bandits. That game, a Bandits home game, also being played this afternoon. A full slate of action here in the Elite Football Alliance.
Yeah, 3 intriguing matchups. This one included, of course, a lot of eyes on that Gators-Bears matchup, which will determine sole possession of first place. Even if the Bears win, it'll be a tie for first place. But, of course, the head-to-head would then belong to the Bears. And, of course, the Demon Knights and the Bandits, as you mentioned, the replay of a game 2 weeks ago that we covered right here on PDF Sports Network. Actually, it was 3 weeks ago. The Demon Knights have been on a 2-week bye since then. The Bandits, of course, looking for their first win of the season. Like the Legion, who will do the kicking off here to start the game. Davin Collins, who Joe mentioned in the pregame, back deep for the Pharaohs, who will wear their road yellows with their black helmets. And, of course, the team in black is the home team, the New York Legion, with the gold helmets. And obviously the Pharaohs will go right to left on your screen when they take over here after the kickoff from Eric Golden, who doubles up as a tight end on this Legion team. Pharaohs beat the Legion the last time they played by a score of only 14-12, and that was during mid-season of last year. One of the closest games, actually, both teams played last year. Of course, the Pharaohs won the championship by 2 points as well, 8-6. And the Legion kind of still looking to turn that corner in their 2022 season. They started the season late. They started it in week 2, a 32-0 loss to the Bears, who at that point had already played a game. And Legion, of course, in the game that Joe and Nick brought to you on PDF Sportsnet last week, falling 50-0 to the Gators. As we will wait for the official whistle to start things off. Golden will take a few steps back. Back deep is Dakari Mims for the Pharaohs, along with Collins. And this one is going to be a soft line driver that ends up at about the 25. It skips past Collins, who has to double back all the way back to his own 16. He waits for his blockers to set up, but he will not get the 20 as he is wrestled down at about the 19, Joe, and that's where we'll start.
Well, Dave, that play looked awfully familiar.
Right.
If you remember back to week 1, that looked a lot like the kick return that Collins had for a touchdown, now a part of the official PDF Sports Network intro package ahead of our broadcast. So Collins is immortalized, his kick return immortalized as a part of our intro for now. He had a chance at another there, a good tackle at the end of that play by the Legion.
Yeah, Collins does not need a lot of space to make things happen. That part we gathered way back in week 1. But the Pharaohs will have to go pretty much the length of the field here on their opening drive as they start at the 19-yard line. They will huddle up here. We saw them operate almost exclusively from the spread formation when we had them last time in the opening week of the season. Reem Williams will indeed be the quarterback. Behind him is Paul Hunter, or to the left of him, just a step or so behind. Once again, the spread. The give is up the middle and put down. Helmets off, but a loss of 1. Maybe got back to the line of scrimmage was Hunter, but he was stopped dead in his tracks, Joe, right at the line of scrimmage.
Well, that was a physical play as a helmet immediately goes flying. That helmet came from Devon West, listed on the roster as a defensive tackle for the Pharaohs. He's on the offensive line, and how about that for some physical play? I know Nick is a fan of some ruthless aggression. There's an example of it right there.
Devon West heading back to the sideline for the Pharaohs as he will be replaced. He might have been the one with the equipment problem with the helmet. We'll see as he is going to exchange something there on the sideline. In any event, it'll be a 2nd down and 10.
And notice, Dave, no Darren Glover in the secondary for the Legion this afternoon.
Right, good catch there as they stay bunched up at the line of scrimmage. Williams will go back to pass, and that one streaking down the right side of the field in stride and making the catch is Mims. And he is going to go in the rest of the way. 89 yards. Mims holds up at the 1, but will walk it in, and the Pharaohs are up 6-0.
And that's where missing a key player in the secondary hurts you, Dave. That would likely have been the assignment drawn by Glover. Dakari Mims among the leaders in touchdowns in the EFA last season, moving from the Gators to the Pharaohs this season. He has a long score on the game's opening drive, and just like that, the Pharaohs make an early statement and take a 6-0 lead.
Single coverage against number 12, Terrell Christian on the play. Mims, all he had was about a step ahead of Christian, and that's all he needed. That pass was on a dime right into the waiting hands of Mims. And just 2 plays into the game, Brooklyn has themselves a 6-0 lead. And from here, at least, it looks like they will be going for 2 to add to it.
And early in the game that we covered last week between the Legion and the Gators, there really wasn't a lot of field for the Gators to work with offensively. Not really a chance to spread it out like that early and throw over the top. But that drive starting from deep inside their own territory for the Pharaohs, they take full advantage of the ability to throw that deep ball.
Picking up right where they left off last week when they scored 70 in their win over the Bandits. High snap. Williams is able to find Mims, but it was off of his hands towards the back of the end zone. He could not come down with it. And the score will remain 6-0 here after the game's opening drive.
That's an uncharacteristic drop for Mims, who with that last touchdown grab finds the end zone for the first time this season. Just a pair of passing touchdowns for Williams coming in at the quarterback position. Officially, that's his 3rd, though as I mentioned before during the pregame, I don't believe the Pharaohs had updated stats through their 3rd game as of yet, so those numbers could come out differently following the conclusion of this Brooklyn's 4th game of the season.
Yeah, we talked about the Legion and some hard luck that they've been the victim of, Joe. Well, they're on that drive. First play of the game, they do a great job bottling up the run. And then, Christian doesn't have bad coverage against Mims on that play. That was just an excellent pass. Mims was in stride and did well to shed away from Christian on the tackle, took his time getting to the end zone. But again, if you're the Legion, it's hard to say you could have played that better, Joe. It was just good coverage, just a great pass and catch.
Well, accuracy like that shows you why Williams is the leader in completion percentage in the EFA at this point in the season. He certainly helps his quarterback rating with that one as well. He's second in that category behind only Stephen Cologne. So Williams couldn't have asked for a much better start to this game. And for the Legion, once again, a really tough start. They had the turnover last week. They were able to bounce back from that initially. We'll see how they respond to that early touchdown on their first offensive possession.
Michael Merced Jr. will be back deep for the Legion along with Shane Barker. They'll receive the kickoff here from, I believe that's Quirin Anderson, who will spot things up. Gets into it, low line drive kick. It ends up at the 35 and bounces. And Barker is able to corral it at about the 25, sidesteps one man, gets away, now is at the 35 and is wrangled out of bounds at about the 41-yard line. Now there is a flag on the near side at the 40, pretty much when that kick was struck, Joe. So we'll see what the call is here.
We had a second flag come in late as well from the near sideline. I think there may be 2 penalties on the play. And the officials will talk it over, so.
Yeah, so official timeout as they confer for the correct call. If the Legion are going to have yards tacked onto this because of a penalty on the Pharaohs, then they're going to have some pretty good starting field position. But if they're going to back this one up, they could be starting pretty deep. So big early call here. Looks like 2 penalties, Joe, 1 on each side. They will offset and they will re-kick it. So after all of that, they'll line it up again and do it over. Now Barker was able to get to that after it almost skipped over his head, Joe. That could have been a nightmare for him as well.
That looked a lot like what we saw last week yet again. We saw a lot of those kickoffs skipping around and into really tough spots for the Legion. They couldn't catch a break on the kickoffs. Not great kickoffs that landed somewhere between maybe the 35 and the 25, would skip all the way down inside the 10. Tough to receive those kickoffs as well. And one wrong touch and you commit a turnover and all of a sudden the Pharaohs have the ball in the red zone yet again. So you have to be really careful on those kinds of plays. If you're the Legion, they were able to handle it last week. A penalty really hurt them, pinning them inside their own 1-yard line. But hopefully for New York, they can get that starting field position they would have had equaled on another good kick return.
So Anderson will get into another one here. That one is more end over end and ends up at about the 15-yard line. It will be taken by Merced Jr., who's looking to go east and west here. He gains the 30 and is knocked out of bounds at about the 35, as plenty of yellow and black jerseys converge there at the end of that play. So about 6 yards of a difference between the last kickoff and this one. And either way, the Legion will have the ball for the first time in the game offensively. They're down on the scoreboard here 6-0.
Now that kickoff looked a lot better, but sometimes it may be more effective if that kickoff skips. In that situation, the Legion able to receive that kickoff on a fly, which certainly helped them out. And that return brings them to a very similar spot on the field to the one where the flag was thrown on the previous return. So not much lost by the fact that the penalty's offset and that they had to try the kickoff again. And on that return, it was Michael Merced Jr. taking it down to the New York 37-yard line.
And so the Legion here, 1st down and 10. Will be going Mike Fantroy at quarterback. He started the game last week for this Legion team after Karim McFarland took controls in week 1. The give is up the middle and going nowhere fast was Romero.
Romero really began to break through late in last week's game against the Harlem Gators after his team was behind by a considerable amount. But Romero still with some strong running, some nice cuts late in that game, and really helped bring some life to this New York Legion offense. And Van Troy really began to find his rhythm as well, throwing the football. And if they can carry some of that into this week's game, especially with the return of Shane Barker to this offense, perhaps the Legion can get something going on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, Legion were able to use that running game to soften up the Gators a little bit so that their passing game could get started. And now it will be a quick throw in the flat far side. Good open field tackle down at the far side of the field to keep it to within about a gain of 3 or 4. And it looked like that pass was caught by Golden, the tight end, who lined up wide.
And that was a nice tackle there by Lamont Tyson at the cornerback position. That pass could have gone for a nice gain, but Tyson made sure that play went no further than just about 1 or 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. Not an easy open field play for a defensive back in that spot, but perfect technique by Tyson to stay square, make the play, and set up a 3rd down.
That's why you run that play. You expect the wideout to make the first guy miss and try to get into that second level, but not the case that time. That's why the Pharaohs are the Pharaohs, and it's 3rd down and 8 here for the Legion. They'll go with 2 wide receivers off to the right. On this near side, the look left and now right. Once again in the flat, looking to make one man miss was Barker, but he's going to get stood up and turned back. Well short of the first down. He might have gotten 1, maybe 2, Joe, on that play. It'll be 3rd and about 7 or 8.
And Quran Anderson there making a nice play. It looked like the Legion had the blocking on that play, but very quickly Anderson was able to navigate his way through those blocks and blow that play up. It went nowhere. I thought at the very least that could set up a 4th and manageable where maybe the Legion consider it, though they weren't very aggressive going forward on 4th down last week. They're certainly going to punt here.
And back deep, looks like it is Mims with Collins the up man, and it will be Eric Golden, who we saw catch a pass, do the kicking like he did for the kickoffs. Legion go 3 and out as we have 10 left on the play clock here. Legion got to get settled. With the Pharaohs definitely fixing for a return as they get 2 on the Gunners. That kick is straight up, and letting it fall is Collins, who will let it go out at about the 37-yard line. We'll see where the official spot is. It's the 38, and that's where the Pharaohs will take over.
Not a bad punt there by the Legion. We saw some of those punts go even straighter up into the air last week, so that's not a bad one. But if you're the Legion, you hate to say it so early in the game, but you really need a stop on this possession. Don't want to fall behind early by 2 scores, especially after a 3 and out on the offensive side to get things started. But as I said during the pregame, Dave, we saw what this defense is capable of last week, and they came up with more than 1 stop against that prolific Gators offense.
Yeah, for the Pharaohs, I don't think they've stopped scoring since last week. They put up 70 points, which is an EFA record. Now, the EFA is in its 5th season. Before that, they were the 5-star football league. But as far as EFA is concerned, that 70 points was the highest in the history of the league. Now, the Pharaohs are in their 2nd year as an EFA team. Last year, they finished 8-2. Their 2 regular season losses to the Long Island Red Devils, who are no longer in the league. And then the Pharaohs exercised those demons by beating the Red Devils 8-6 in the EFA championship a year ago. And hence why they are the defending champs. They've suffered a loss already this regular season and have looked awful good since. The give is up the middle, and once again, very little going on at the heart of the defense as nowhere to go for Hunter.
Nice start against the run for the Legion in this game. They blew up a 1st down run on the previous Pharaohs drive. They blow up a 1st down run here on the 2nd Brooklyn possession. And setting up a 2nd and long is right where you want to be if you're the New York defense, but have to keep these Brooklyn receivers in front of you, and that's easier said than done.
And last time on 2nd and 9, the Legion crowded the box and didn't have safeties back deep, Joe. And now we see 2 deep here for the Legion as Perot, Jean-Charles, and Terrell Christian are both back deep, as the Pharaohs will go with 4 wide receivers. Staying in close, Roland Arzu on the near side. He's one to watch as well. Hunter exchanges positions, now works from the left, and we are going to have delay a game, I believe, on the Pharaohs, and that's going to be backed up 5 yards, so we'll see a 2nd and 14 instead of 2nd and 9.
And those are penalties the Pharaohs certainly want to avoid. No need to give away yardage, especially with the way they've moved the ball the last couple of weeks. No reason to believe they can't overcome the penalties, but if you're Brooklyn ahead of a matchup, a big one coming up against the Harlem Gators, you want to try and have this game decided as early as possible if you can. I know Brooklyn's not looking ahead to that game, and no reason they should, but you know how big that matchup is for them and how much it means to this team after the Gators came up with the win the first time.
Same formation here for the Pharaohs. Once again, Hunter to the left. There was some movement up front, no flags. Now it comes down late. And once again, they go sideline, right side of the field, and that time just a few feet over the outstretched hands of Mims as they could not connect. And we will see what the call is here. And offsides on the defense, so they'll move the 5 yards back up, Joe, and redo 2nd down.
And that throw was a good one. May not have been the right read, but it was a ball where it was placed in a spot that only Mims could get it. It was over the top, a little bit too long for him, but you mentioned the 2 safeties over the top set up for the Legion, and that safety was closing in. That was Terrell Christian at the safety spot. He was closing fast, but as I said, Williams putting that ball where only his man could get it along the far sideline.
The Pharaohs are owed a yard here, Joe. That ball spotted at the 38, probably should be at the 39, but either way, 2nd and a long 9 or 10 yards here for the Pharaohs. And it is the give to Hunter. He waits for his blockers to open up, now sidesteps and gets the 1st down past midfield. Good patient running by Hunter as he had to wait for his blocks to establish, Joe.
Well, I said it during the pregame, the top 2 backs in terms of rushing yards for this Pharaohs team had only a combined 21 carries through their first few games, but it seems Brooklyn is committed to running the ball early in this one as they've run it on both 1st down plays so far on their first 2 possessions. And then right there, once again, they look to run it, and that run does pick up enough for the 1st down out across midfield.
1st and 10 for the Pharaohs at the Legion 48. Once again, spread formation here. 2 receivers in close in the slots and 2 wide. Once again, this is the fake on the inside. Williams with a lot of time, and he's able to find Hunter in the flat, and he is chased out of bounds after getting about half the yardage he needed, so it'll be 2nd and about 5.
Well, taking a look at the defensive setup for the Legion, they're coming out in a 4-3 defensive alignment right now, and that makes the running back a very tough matchup for them inside the box. You have 3 linebackers behind the line of scrimmage. One of those linebackers is eventually going to be tasked with covering the running back, and if you don't have a good coverage linebacker, it's not an easy assignment to track that back out of the backfield when a play is breaking down right like that. It looked as if the Legion might have a sack on the play, but instead Williams does a great job to get that ball out.
Williams listed at 5'11", but you can almost hear that internal clock of his counting down, and hence the dump off there for the safety and Hunter. Now the give is to Collins up the middle, and Collins is going to be close to a 1st down. And looks like it's going to be 3rd and inches. If not, they will give them the 1st down. We'll see where the spot is. And they are going to move the chains as it'll be a 1st down. So Collins got just enough on his first touch of the game on offense.
I was about to ask one of my favorite questions, Dave. 4-down territory?
I would think so here.
I thought so too.
But either way, a fresh set of downs for the Pharaohs here as they operate at the Legion 38-yard line. Now Mims lines up close on the far side of the field. 2 wide receivers spread here near side. And it's Williams looking towards that left side. Nothing there. He has a lot of space. Now he's going to throw across the field, and it's caught by Mims. Mims makes one guy miss, and now we have flags down everywhere. Mims is in the end zone, but the whistles blew, Joe, before Mims made his move and trotted into the end zone. Let's see what the call is here.
There was a lot going on that play, and the penalty is against the Pharaohs. It seems like they knew it.
Yep, and You know, Mims made the catch, Joe, and was making a series of moves at about the 3-yard line, and that's when the whistles started to blow, signaling the end of the play, even though the play was still continuing. So either way, they're going to back the Pharaohs up. So that's the deal with that. Still a good throw by Williams to go across the field. He scampered right and then threw left, and Mims was there to make the play.
Going back to the rush by Collins, officially, that would be his first rush of the season, according to the stats. And going back to that last play, I was talking about the linebacker who would be assigned to the running back. There was nobody covering Collins on that play. He was able to sit in the flat all alone for about 5 to 7 seconds if Williams wanted to go there with the football.
Well, we'll see if the coaches picked up on what you just saw, Joe, for the future, keeping that in their back pocket. In any event, the Pharaohs now are lined up 1st and 20 after that holding penalty. Williams has gotten some time to sit back in the pocket and throw. And he is going to throw. Once again, 3-step drop. He's looking near side, and that one is over the head. Too strong for Arzu, who was matched up one-on-one against Lopez. It'll be 2nd and long.
And this is a big opportunity for the Legion right here. 2nd and very long after the holding penalty, an incomplete pass. If you're New York, you have to get off the field in this spot. 2 more plays to hold this Pharaohs team without a first down, and hopefully if you're New York, you can get a chance to get on the scoreboard and get this game even. But if you're Brooklyn, it seems like there are a lot of holes to be found in this Legion secondary, and they've shown no hesitation to take advantage of those early in this game.
You'd have to think the Pharaohs will look to put one up here on 2nd down and 20. But Collins is the running back in the backfield to the right of Williams. They'll go 4 wide receivers spread. Mims, of course, on the top of your screen, has been the big target so far. Arzu is in motion left to right. Making it trips formation on the right. They supplant themselves at the line of scrimmage, and Williams going to take off. He has the 45, now scampers out of 1 tackle and cannot get past the 2nd wave. The ball was out, Joe. The ball was out. Both teams giving indications that they had it. Williams was tossed down hard, and we have flags that come down very late, probably involved in that scrum. But how's this for a big play?
No indication either way who has possession, but it looks like the Pharaohs offense is staying out on the field. And I said it before, Dave, if you're the Pharaohs, you don't want to look ahead to your next matchup with the Gators, but plays like that are exactly why, if you can, you would like to get this game decided as early as possible. If Williams goes down the wrong way on a tackle like that, he could certainly get injured. And that was a great play by who it looked to be was the QB spy. Number 29 on the Legion roster is Michael Lopez. He is listed as a running back, but it was number 29 who appeared to be the quarterback spy on that play, as it looks like the Pharaohs offense is moving back once again.
Well, what happened was that the fumble was recovered by the Pharaohs, but then there was an unsportsmanlike conduct at the conclusion of the fumble recovery. So it'll be 15 yards from the spot of the recovery, Joe, which would probably put them at about the 43. Let's see if that's the case. It is. And so now we're looking at a 2nd down and 29 as the first down marker is at the 28-yard line. So 3rd and 29 because the loss of down, because the result of the play stands. 3rd down and a bunch. Looked like a design run almost from the start, Joe. If the pass wasn't going to go to the flat on the right side, Williams' decision was to tuck it down and run. And to the Legion credit, they stayed with Williams, who refused to go down on that last play. Here comes the rush. Good blocking up front. Williams with a lot of time, backs up to his own 30, looks middle of the field, and Mims can't handle it. That pass was thrown just a little bit behind Mims, who got one mitten on it but couldn't bring it in.
Nice job by the Legion defense there to contain these Pharaohs receivers in front of them. They were content to allow Mims the space to make that catch. They had several defenders ready to close in and make the tackle should Mims look to break it up the field after the catch. A nice job by this New York defense, and that will set up a 4th down, and it is going to be a Brooklyn punt, so another chance for the Legion to get even, trailing by just 6.
Yeah, hard to believe the Pharaohs actually got a first down on that drive, but ended up with negative yardage for the drive itself, thanks to penalties. 4th down and 29, as back deep again will be Merced Jr. He's the deep man. It's like Glenn Boyd might be the front man here, Joe, who bounces up to about the 30. Legion coaches making sure their team stays poised in the event of a fake here. And that one's blocked. Blocked right at the point of impact. The Pharaohs do pick it up, and it is Mims who's making people miss. He's at midfield. He makes another man miss. And now he goes right side, and he is going to take it all the way in, Joe. Unless Merced can catch him, he will not. Touchdown, Pharaohs.
Well, Dave, I cannot believe what we just saw. A blocked punt that from here looked as if it could go for a touchdown, and everyone, hold on, everyone is going crazy here at the facility, but hold on just a second. We have a flag on the play now.
Now, it's a very late flag, Joe, that came out. We're talking it was thrown about 2 or 3 seconds ago, well after the play was over. Let's see.
Okay, I wasn't sure if the flag was thrust further out onto the field after the play was over or if it was thrown during the play, and I just caught it late, but nonetheless, that punt was blocked, and immediately Mims able to escape. He may have his second touchdown of the game. The officials are discussing it. This is a huge call, but Dave, I still can't believe what we just saw.
Just amazing, and we'll see it on replay once we do the, once we do our post-production work, and we'll take a look at it. You're probably seeing it on your screen now as we give you the result of the penalty. So the official call, Joe, will be a holding on the return, and it will back the Pharaohs up 10 yards from the spot of the foul, which was at about the 40-yard line. So we'll take the points off the board. It remains 6-0 in favor of the Pharaohs, and they're still going to have a 4th and long, Joe, even with that long return standing to at least the 40-yard line.
Well, that's one major benefit of a 4th and 29, I guess. You have a penalty committed in the midst of a blocked punt being returned, and you're safe from allowing a first down. So the Legion catch a huge break.
Right.
The Pharaohs with still what I would consider one of the more incredible plays I've seen, despite the fact that it won't count. Now, on the replay, as I'm sure our viewers are seeing on their screen again at this point, we'll see if we can spot the hold. You and I don't have a look at a monitor to spot the hold, but at home we'll see if you can spot the hold. And
what doomed that play, Joe, too, was there was a very high snap that Mims had to corral, and by the time he got it down, it was blocked. And the block on the play came from Thomas Roth from the outside. This time Mims gets it off clean, but it is a line drive kick that is touchdown at the 29-yard line. Not sure why, unless Darren Payton thought maybe it was touched first by the Legion. But either way, the Legion will have the ball from just inside their own 30-yard line, 1st and 10, after what was a wild sequence on that last drive.
So at the very least, the failure to recover that blocked punt cost them about 60 yards of field position, maybe a little less, closer to 50 perhaps. But either way, a really tough break for the Legion, who, through all of it, are fortunate to have possession right now.
Right. You would think after a block kick, that would have put them 1st and 10 at about the 25-yard line. They're starting now at their own 30. You'd think that would be a bad thing. But after the result of that block, they're fortunate here to only be down by 6 in the scoreboard and have a 1st and 10 from, again, just inside their own 30. Their second offensive series of the game. They went 3 and out on drive 1. Fan Troy, once again, will call the shots here. It's like a 3 wide receiver set. Coming in motion was Gooding. And the give is on the inside to Romero, and he is tackled down high. Got maybe back to the line of scrimmage.
And that was Shaquille Black exploding off the edge of that Pharaohs defensive line. He was in the backfield immediately, read that play all the way, and wrapped up Romero for a loss on the play. And if if you're the Legion, you really have to try and avoid these negative plays on first down, plays that go for no gain on first down. It's really setting their drives up for failure.
2nd down and 10, as there was officially no gain on that last play. Get a sense of the Pharaohs defensively going with the one deep safety back. A lot of players crowding that box. I count 7 inside the radius of about 3 yards from the line of scrimmage. Fantroy thought once, now gives to the far side, a gain of about 5 on the play. Making the catch was Merced Jr., ran into his own man there. That held him up just a little bit, but either way, positive yardage. It'll be 3rd and 5.
A good throw by Fantroy. Under some pressure there, definitely under significant duress in the pocket and falling away from his target. He put that ball right on the money for Merced Jr., who it appears right now is his favorite target. We saw a lot of balls go his way last week, and I'm sure Fantroy was hoping he could perhaps make a man miss on that play.
And if the Pharaohs cannot respect the Legion's run game, they will send numbers at Fantroy or put numbers back into coverage on a down like this, 3rd down and 5. It is Fantroy with the long count, wide receiver spread. Fantroy not a lot of time. He is going down the sideline and caught in stride. That's Gooding down the sideline, and he is tossed out of bounds at around the 30, called to 28. Great job by Fantroy to look up the field and find Gooding.
And that was a bluff blitz look from the Pharaohs. They had 7 in the box, and they dropped off into coverage. Both defensive ends forced Fantroy on his deep drop to step forward, and that was great pocket awareness by the Legion signal caller. We had a blown coverage along the far sideline, a pair of Pharaohs on Gooding. They lost him as he bolted up the field. Great vision by Fantroy to find him that ball right on the money, and now the Legion are in business.
1st down and 10, first play that will be run from the Pharaohs' end of the field for the Legion. Fantroy is going to give once again up the middle, and once again nothing doing for Romero as he is met by a pair of defenders, and now going back and forth some members of both teams' lines. A little bit of pushing and shoving. Collins getting into it there with Paez Lopez. And again, no gain on 1st down.
Well, I think a question I have watching the way these 1st down plays have gone, Dave, is how long until the Legion go with a play-action look on 1st down, because this Pharaohs defense is all up in the backfield. They had 8 or 9 that swallowed up that run play as soon as it got started. There was no chance for Romero, and that was much like what we saw last week. Really not many holes for him. It wasn't his fault that he got off to a poor start. We'll see if they look for the play-action moving forward on early downs.
Yeah, not much you can do when you're met by a pair of defenders as soon as you receive that handoff, and Romero doing well to not lose yardage on these plays, but it'll be 2nd down and 10. Once again, one deep safety for the Pharaohs here defensively. They'll line up with 5 players across the defensive backfield. Fantroy looks like he might want to run with it, but he is going to get gobbled up and nothing doing. Big-time loss on the play as the tackle made by Duncan.
Once again, Fantroy with a deep drop, and he is met by a pair of defensive ends from the Pharaohs. He was able to step up and avoid that pressure on the completion to Gooding. Was not able to step up on that play, as now this snap will be taken from all the way back at the Pharaohs' 43-yard line. That's a big loss on the play and a long way to go for this New York offense to pick up a 1st down.
Officially 3rd and 22. Is the down and distance. We're going to have the end of the 1st quarter here, Joe. Indeed, it is. So we are at the end of 1 complete. The Pharaohs, thanks to an early touchdown on the 2nd play of the game, up 6-0 at the end of 1. Stay with us. You are watching the EFA on PDF Sports Network. You can't have football without barbecue, and there is no barbecue without the Rib Room's Black's Barbecue, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance, serving up rib plates, chicken plates, and combo plates now. To get your official Black's Barbecue order, call 347-837-5762 or Facebook direct message Sean Kelman. Unbeatable Tires and Accessories LLC is your tire for all seasons. Visit us 7 days a week and call us now at 347-879-3100. a tire for all seasons at Unbeatable Tires and Accessories, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance. Back, Ossining, New York, Ann Dorner Field here, the home field of the New York Legion, who have the ball, but a long way to go. 3rd down and 22 from the Pharaohs' 43-yard line after a big 12-yard sack on the last play. The Legion will look to start the second quarter with a positive play here. I figure, Joe, if they can get about half of this back, they would probably go for it on 4th down. We'll see what they do here. All depends on what happens on this play, 3rd and 22. Fantroy, 2-step drop. He's in trouble, and we have flags down in the vicinity of holding. He's going to throw this away down the far sideline, running for his life. Now, Joe, interesting here is that if this is a hold on the Legion, the Pharaohs could decline the penalty, and it'll be 4th and 22.
I'd be curious to see what they do here, because it would be a 3rd and so long. You might be inclined to take a chance and move him back, but I don't think so. I think you just decline the penalty on 4th down. We'll see.
Jaden Arroyo guilty of the hold, number 75, and let's see what the decision is. They will decline the penalty, so it'll be 4th down and 22, and we hear chance of punt coming from the Legion sideline, so they will kick this one away and look to pin the Pharaohs deep. Now, all things considered, the Pharaohs have moved the ball. They had an 89-yard touchdown catch and run from Williams to Mims to start the game, but did have their last series stopped after some penalties and some incomplete passes. Blocked punt that resulted in a Pharaohs touchdown called back.
Outside of one play, this New York defense has really done their part. They had the one deep ball they allowed, which, as you mentioned, was a pass caught against some pretty good coverage. Not much more that the Legion could have done defensively on that long pass that went for a touchdown to Mims. Since then, this defense has really stepped up and slowed down an offense that scored 70 last week.
That's a good punt, that time by Golden off of a bad snap. And fielding it is Collins. And Collins is being wrestled down finally at the 25-yard line. A couple of guys got a hold of that jersey, just could not bring him down. And again, the very patient running of Davin Collins makes something out of nothing.
You can see it there, Dave. Collins is a very tough tackle. They had him by the jersey, and he dragged them forward for some extra yards. It looked like the Legion would have a chance to pin the Pharaohs inside of their own 15-yard line, maybe the 20, but Collins had other ideas. He takes that out to the 26, and that's a nice return for Collins, who got some work on the ground earlier, and of course we've seen him in the secondary and on kick returns as well.
So the Pharaohs will take over officially at their own 27-yard line. Once again, the scoring was done on the second play of the game. 81 yards officially, as Williams was able to find Mims down the right sideline. Perfect throw. Good coverage by the Legion on the play. Just a sensational offensive play. Mims, I believe, is working in the slot now. And the throw out into the flat to Hunter. Hunter makes a couple guys miss, and he gets about 8 yards on 1st down.
And that's one way to counter the success this Legion defense has had, stopping the 1st down rushing attempts. Get a ball out of your hands quickly if you're Williams and swing it out to the running back, and that's a nice 1st down gain. And I mentioned what a tough cover the running backs will be for these Legion linebackers, and right there you saw it on that swing pass to the near side.
Now, Joe, I don't see Mims in the game at all right now, unless I missed him on that last play. I think I got my numbers crossed. Arzu, I thought, was Mims, but Mims is not in the game. It's Collins who lines up near side towards the sideline on 2nd down and 2. The give and the fake. And now it will be Arzu, down the far sideline. He gets bumped out of bounds as he was looking for the lead blocking that time of Mela. But either way, they're in Legion territory at the 46.
Well, that's something I picked up on earlier, Dave. If you take a look at the defensive alignment, once again, a 4-3 look from the Legion, you can see that you only have the two corners lined up, one on each sideline. And if you have two receivers out wide to either side, it really makes you vulnerable to that screen pass. And we saw the Pharaohs exploit that right there. Good blocking by the wideout and a really nice gain on a very short pass. And all of a sudden, Brooklyn is now into New York territory.
Yeah, we've seen the open field playmaking ability of some of these Pharaohs players, and that's what they're making the most of here right at the line of scrimmage. Williams just throwing it in the flat, letting his runners do their thing. And he will throw again. No, and now he'll tuck it down and run left side. He's got some real estate. He passes the 40 to 35-yard line, will have a first down. Now a late flag comes out in the backfield. Of course, that always looks to be in the vicinity of holding. And already we see number 58 protesting the call that is still yet to come for the Pharaohs.
That's Joe Jimenez, the offensive tackle for Brooklyn, who was not happy now. Let's see if the call went against him.
Offsetting, it looks like, Joe. There's going to be a hold and a personal foul on the Legion.
That's a really bad penalty by the Legion. Now, we saw initially Jimenez was petitioning for that personal foul call. He got it, but that was only after he had committed the hold.
Right. And so we will have the ball once again at the 46-yard line, 1st and 10. So they will replay the down. The penalty, the holding penalty, negates an 11-yard run for Williams that would have set up another first down for the Pharaohs. Drive that started at their own 27. They lead 6-0 on the scoreboard thanks to an opening drive touchdown. 4 wide receivers in the game. This is Williams to give inside to Hunter. Hunter sidesteps but can't get past the second wave of defense. Might have gotten a couple. It'll be 2nd and 8.
Once again, the Legion having success stopping the run on first down, and that's been a big reason why their defense has had some early success in this game. As we're now into the second quarter, they've still only allowed 6 points. And, you know, Dave, this game following a very similar script to last week's game, it's going to be very interesting to see which way this game turns from this point forward.
Yeah, Joe, you and Nick covered last week's Gators-Legion game, a game that was 6-0 deep into the second quarter. The Gators ended up exploding at the end and taking a 22-0 lead into halftime and ended up winning the game 50-0. 2nd down and 8. The fake, and now the throw in the flat. Once again, a lot of open space, and finally the tackle made inside the 30, but Garfield McDonald able to get past the first wave. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Pharaohs.
The Legion are going to have to make an adjustment defensively, Dave. Once again, Pharaohs taking advantage of the matchups out wide, and the Legion simply don't have enough in terms of DBs on either side of the field to match up against 2 wide receivers.
Yeah, you think back to that first drive, the second play of the game, single coverage, man-on-man coverage, and since then the Legion have operated out of the zone. But the Pharaohs are stacking one side, getting the numbers and the blocking set up, and Williams hasn't had to look downfield on this drive at all. His passes have all been to the flat, and of course an occasional run, but they're in business here. Inside the 30, lots of movement.
False start.
Flags come down. Free play, intercepted. And it was intercepted. This one might be coming back, but with a lot of room, here are the Legion looking to get towards the sideline, and Lopez continues to try and gain the sideline. Now he's out at about midfield. Now all of this will be either coming back, it would seem, to an offside.
Dave.
Free play. We'll see, though.
One of the receivers started moving early, and I was about to call out before the play. Take a look at the far sideline. There was 1 defensive back and 2 wide receivers without much safety help, but it looked like one of those 2 receivers got started a bit early. I thought I saw a false start, but it looks like the call will instead go against the Legion. So a break for the Pharaohs if that is indeed the case.
Encroachment is the call on the Legion. So obviously negate the interception and return, add 5 yards to the Pharaohs, who will have a 1st and 5 at the end of all this. But you'll see the replay at home and make the decision yourself if there was a drawing offside or who moved first.
I thought I saw the false start at the wide receiver spot. Didn't see what occurred at the line of scrimmage, but the Legion certainly aren't happy.
No, they are not. And we got the sense when the play was not whistled dead that it was a free play. And although Williams threw the interception, you can't fault him for throwing it up and hoping for something positive on that play. So after all of this, a 1st and 5 for the Pharaohs, now inside the 25-yard line of the Legion. In case you joined us late, Pharaohs up 6-0 as we are nearing the middle stages of the second quarter. Pharaohs taking their time. They get 2 wide receivers out wide, top of your screen. Williams looking in that direction, now drops it off once again to Hunter down short, makes one man miss and gains about the 15-yard line. We do have another flag down near side of the field, Joe, right at the tail end of that play. And once again, a couple of players locked up at the line of scrimmage. Jason Epps for the Legion and number 58, Joe Jimenez, who got called earlier for the hold. We'll see if that's where things happened. If the penalty is against the Pharaohs, it will negate a 1st down, catch and run by Hunter.
Well, that flag came in very late while the action was taking place on the other side of the field. I'm curious what the call is. An eligible man downfield. Well, that's why it came in late, Dave.
Yep, and I didn't get a number on that, but it was an illegal man downfield. And so they'll back him up, and it'll continue to be 1st down. We'll have our 3rd installment of 1st down coming up now, back at the original line of scrimmage, 29-yard line.
I've said it how many times already, but once again, there's a huge stand here for the Legion. If they can get into the half even, they receive the second half kickoff, it could really change the complexion of this game, but that's easier said than done right now as they're being backed up toward their own goal line.
The Legion did stand tall last time Pharaohs had the ball and they were penetrating. They were able to get minimal gains on the run and then a couple of penalties. Backed the Pharaohs up where they were forced to punt. Spread formation for the Pharaohs here on 1st and 10. Williams throwing all the way. He's under some duress. He scampers out to his left and all alone on the sideline and making the catch. I believe that's Arzu. Arzu is in for the score, and the Pharaohs are up 12-0. A blown assignment, Joe. Arzu was sitting alone and just ran it in for the touchdown.
Well, pre-snap, it looked like the Legion had the proper personnel on the field to match up with that spread look. Now, I did see some members of the Legion in the secondary protesting that perhaps Arzu had stepped out of bounds, though the official did not think so, and the call of touchdown will stand as the Pharaohs go ahead 12-0, but another blown coverage, this time by New York, and that could very well be an extremely costly breakdown in the coverage as they now trail by 2 scores.
You got to look at it on your screen to see where the coverage broke down at the top of your screen with Arzu. And after all that, 3 different versions of 1st down. That one goes for a touchdown, and you give credit to Kareem Williams, who had to buy himself some time. He took a few steps to his left and was able to throw a perfect strike towards the sidelines. So our score is 12-0 here with a chance for 2 more for the Pharaohs, who will line up for 2. Once again, they spread him over the field. Hunter's in the backfield with Williams. Signals being called. Here's the snap. It's Williams perhaps to run all the way. He's looking for that pylon on the far side of the field, and he gets it. It's 14-0 Pharaohs.
And this next drive for New York could be the turning point in the game. A stop could set Brooklyn up for one more score before the half, and a Legion touchdown could make this a game again. But if you're the Legion, this drive is huge. We will see what they can come up with. It looked like they may have had chances to get off the field on that last drive. Of course, they had the interception called back. Pharaohs at times have moved in the wrong direction, but Brooklyn able to overcome all of that and find the end zone for the second time. The 2-point try is good, 14-0 Brooklyn.
Yeah, and we mentioned in the pregame, Joe, how the Legion have to limit hurting themselves, and we saw how they blocked the Pharaohs punt but were unable to get the fumble recovery. They end up not being able to capitalize and work from a short field on that drive, and after a really good couple of drives defensively where they were holding, they get a blown coverage that leads to an easy 6 points the other way, and the Pharaohs have doubled up their lead and then some. So it's those little drops of fundamental play, Joe, that have cost this Legion team to date. And for a team that's still looking for its first points of the entire season, a 14-point hole is a big hole against the defending champs.
Sure is, and you look back to that last Legion possession, they completed the pass up the sideline. Gooding broke it deep into Brooklyn territory, and New York unable to come away with points on that drive, and it looks like that's really going to hurt now that they're trailing by 2 scores. That was a huge opportunity for the Legion offense, and after that they moved straight backwards.
Anderson with the good kick. It ends up into the hands of Shane Barker, who stops, hesitates, and now moves forward to about the 35-yard line, passed out to the 37 ultimately, where the Legion will take over 1st and 10. As got to figure, Joe, we're in the second part of the second quarter here as time winds down. We'll keep one ear to the field to listen how many minutes are left, but it's been a good moving first half. Officials have done a great job, as they've done throughout the season, keeping things moving and making sure both sides are.
Every once in a while, I feel like those calls down on the field by the referees are being made specifically for us. They're looking in our direction, signaling towards us.
Well, that's good for us, for sure, and they've done a great job. And that's one thing that, you know, we haven't talked about a lot in this league, Joe, is the officiating, but they do work with a crew of 6. And I think for the most part during this season, you know, some folks might say, oh, there's too many penalties or the game gets dragged on, but I think they've done a really good job of establishing what the rules are early, making sure the teams, you know, stay on their respective sides of the field, that all the improper play gets cleaned up quickly, and it makes for a good, clean game that way.
They've done a phenomenal job, and some of them can certainly sling the pigskin around, too. We've seen some great throws.
That's right. Lots of movement, and they do whistle this play dead. I believe a few different yellow jerseys came through. We'll see if they were drawn off. All right, offsides on the defense, so they'll move this one 5 yards.
Hey, Dave, you're going to tell me that call wasn't for us?
Well, they certainly seem to lock eyes on us when they make those calls, but keep it coming, as we appreciate that for sure. And for the Legion, they'll appreciate the free 5 yards here to start off their drive as they get a few yards closer to midfield here. The ball will be spotted at the 42-yard line, 1st and 5. Fantroy, who's been in the entire time at quarterback, took over quarterbacking duties in week 2 of their season, which occurred last week. Joe Foreman and Nick Durst had the call for you last week, and that is the give inside, and nothing happening. That time is Daewon Kind with the carry. He's going to lose some yards, at least 2, and it'll be 2nd down and 7.
And it's just been a series of carries running into a wall for both teams on 1st down. Neither of these squads has gotten anything going on the ground in early down situations, and both teams seem very committed to running the football on 1st and 2nd down, but as of this point in the game, it's gone nowhere.
Yeah, and that delay handoff or the draw handoff, Joe, is right up the middle, has just not been working. I don't know if the Legion have been able to get positive yards on any of those runs right up the core of the Pharaoh defense. We'll see if they try to utilize the sidelines a little bit more. On 2nd and 7, the throw skips in front and incomplete to Merced Jr., who's been a target of Fantroy a few times here in this first half, and it'll be 3rd and long.
Well, Fantroy was patting his chest saying, that's on me, and I was wondering after the last drive if we might get to a point where the Legion just decide to air it out with how ineffective the ground game has been on the early downs. Perhaps you set up the run with some more pass attempts in early down spots. I also speculated on when we might see some play action from this Legion team. Haven't seen that yet either. Not sure how many of those are in the playbook, but something to look out for.
We really haven't seen Fantroy line up and take a 5 or 6 step drop and throw it down the length of the field unless he's been on the run. We've seen him manufacture some extra seconds and throw down the field, but for the most part it's been working the line of scrimmage and then Fantroy making things happen with his legs. We'll see what the plan is here on 3rd and 7. Fantroy receives, steps back 3 or 4 yards looking right side, but never able to get out of his cut there. I believe was maybe Barker. It was Barker, and in the neighborhood as well was Gooding, but it's going to be a punt here for the Legion, who once again will go 3 and out.
Well, Barker and the defensive back in coverage both went down. Gooding had his back to the quarterback. Now, Gooding looked to be the more open of the 2 possible targets, but Gooding likely wouldn't have had anywhere near enough yardage for the first down, though there was room to run after a potential catch. Either way, it's going to be another New York punt, and this becomes a drive where the Legion defense has to stop this Brooklyn offense.
Well, every special teams play has been eventful in this game, kickoffs and punts. So as Golden gets set to punt this one away and Collins back, the possibility of fireworks always exists. Let's see what happens here. 4th down and 7 officially as the Legion get a player off the field. So they get themselves down to 11. The kick will come from his own 30. It's a good one that ends up settling down at about the 20-yard line. Will Collins pick it up and try to run? It goes out of bounds first. Good punt. No return on the play. Pharaohs will start at their own 20.
Collins got a little close to that football. It got interesting for a couple of seconds there before it eventually rolled out of bounds. But
I thought for sure he would pick that one up, Joe. I thought for sure he would.
I wouldn't have been surprised given how dynamic he can be in the return game. But we saw Mims making some moves around the goal line before. That was a few seconds before he finally crossed the goal line for a touchdown. And I thought perhaps Collins might choose to get a bit flashy there as well.
Now, that was a concern for me on the last Pharaohs drive, Joe, the absence of Mims, who's been easily the most electrifying player of the first quarter plus, but I didn't see him on the Pharaohs last drive. It's a hard time for me to pick him up on the sideline if he's in there. I do see a jersey with pads inside it that are just sitting on the floor, and that looks like it could be number 9. And
Mims is on the sideline, Dave. I see him.
Is he dressed?
He is.
He is.
No helmet on, though.
Yeah, so you wonder, we hope he's okay. We know he got tangled up in a tackle earlier, and we never saw him again. So we hope that he's okay, but he's been one of the electrifying players.
Pat's looking for him.
Yeah. Arzu is in the slot now, and up top is Anthony Mella for the Pharaohs, who go 4 wide. And Williams is going to go back to pass. Now he's going to manufacture his own real estate, and he has a lot of room up the heart of the field. He gains the 50, the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10, and Williams is in for the touchdown. 80 yards, and the Pharaohs are up 20-0.
And that may be as impressive a run as we have seen all season in any of our Elite Football Alliance games that we've covered here on the PDF Sports Network. Williams took it straight up the middle through the teeth of the Legion defense. He broke that run into the second level and demonstrated great breakaway speed. And it looked like at least 4 or 5 Legion players had an angle to perhaps make the tackle. And maybe they were taken by surprise with how fast Williams is, as he simply ran straight through them, right past them, got some good blocking as well, and that was a very impressive play. Now, does he have enough left in the tank to stay out here for the 2-point try? I'm not sure.
Well, let's see. He's on the sidelines now, helmet off, and it does look like he's coming in for this play. So they will be without him for this play. He has been involved in every score in this game. He threw an 89-yard touchdown, an 81-yard touchdown pass, a 28-yard touchdown pass, and an 80-yard touchdown run, and he also had the 2-point conversion on the last Pharaohs drive and touchdown. And like I said, it'll be Hunter who will take the shotgun snap on this one, and he's immediately going to run up the middle of the field and in for the 2 points. So that makes the score 22-0 here in the first half, and another kind of mirroring of last week's game, Joe, between the Gators and the Legion, where the Gators broke open a 6-0 game and ended up taking a 22-point lead into the locker room.
And it's really amazing how quickly this game turned. It seems like just a couple of minutes ago, we had a 6-0 score. Pharaohs find the end zone 2 drives ago, make it a 14-0 game, and then just one play into the ensuing possession after another stop, Williams takes it 80 yards for a touchdown on what I think may be the most impressive offensive play we've seen all season by a single player.
Yeah, he has been electrifying and definitely playing it up for our cameras. We love it. As the Pharaohs, who are 2-1, looking to improve to 3-1 this season, certainly are on their way here if the first half ends up holding up. And as for the Legion, still looking for their first points of the season. They have now been outscored 104-0 through almost 10 quarters. And again, we've seen signs of life, just can't put things together.
Well, I said it last drive, Dave. They come away with the score. They get it to start the second half, and that's where your mind has to be right now. If you're the New York Legion, you can't be scoreboard watching here. We know the score is 22-0. You have to focus on this possession, and if you're the Legion, you can put something together here. This game is far from over, but as you've said more than once already, Dave, they are still looking for their first points of the season, and I think their mindset has to start there. Get in the end zone, finally break that scoreless drought.
Short kick taken by Merced Jr., who slipped at about the 30 and got to about the 33-yard line. A little pushing and shoving after the play, but players separate. And you're right, Joe. You know, obviously every time you put the helmet and the pads on, you want to win games. But if you're the Legion, you need something with which to build. And right now, the big hurdle is getting in the end zone or getting some points on the board. No matter how they get it, offensively, defensively, or on special teams, they will take it.
And they've shown flashes on the offensive side of the ball these last 2 weeks. We saw Romero with some nice running late against the Gators. Fan Troy really got into rhythm passing the football late in that game against the Gators. And we saw some good things early in this game as they were able to get the ball to Merced Jr. in space on a couple of occasions. He couldn't make a man miss. The play to Gooding, definitely the highlight so far for this Legion offense. And we saw some of those offensive averages during the pregame. That play to Gooding was a big chunk of that already, and that was by far their best chance to find the end zone in either of the 2 games we've covered. And they moved nowhere but backwards following that big completion to Gooding and have put together nothing since.
And their lack of a run game has been glaring here in these last 2 weeks. The game you covered last week with Nick, and then this one, really nothing going on the ground unless it's been Fan Troy manufacturing his own yardage. We'll see what they do on 1st and 10. And here comes a jailbreak. They look in the flat, and Collins was in the neighborhood along with Romero. It's a good thing they didn't collide into one another because that would have been disastrous, but that pass well overthrown by Fan Troy.
If that pass is caught, there's a lot of real estate to work with there for Romero. That was a screen pass, and Pharaohs came in untouched. Perhaps they released the blocking on that one just a bit too early. A lot of timing goes into those screen plays, and right there the timing a bit off. We saw a very similar play from the Legion last week where Romero was forced to dive. He made a nice grab off the turf, but that ball a bit overthrown and very easily could have turned into 6 the other way.
Yeah, Legion trying to use some deception and misdirection now to try and get the Pharaohs off the ball. But they have been relentless getting to Fan Troy as well in the pocket. 2nd down and 10 from the 32. Fan Troy, once again, will throw it in the flat and off the fingertips of Barker, who went down on the play as well, just simply tripped. And it'll be 3rd down and 10.
I don't know if the turf is giving these guys a hard time or if Barker needs a new pair of cleats because he went down on the last drive as well. We saw him and the defensive back both lose their footing on what I believe was the final play of the previous Legion drive, and now they're set up with a 3rd and 10 here. And if the Legion go 3 and out in this spot, it really sets the Pharaohs up to break this game wide open and perhaps decide this one in the first half.
Yeah, it might be that 30-yard stripe too, Joe, that's been giving these players some problems. We saw Merced go down right at the stripe, and then that last time Barker was a little ahead of it. 3rd down and 10, and like Joe mentioned, the Legion needs something positive here. Lots of movement, potential free play, and looking down the middle of the field, and caught and dropped. It ended up coming out as going down hard was Golden to the turf. He wasn't able to keep it with him. Now he's down, and we hope he's okay. A lot of whistles, too. Yeah, and Golden hit the back of his head on the turf, Joe. I don't think he was touched by the defense. It's just the awkward way he came down. And he's going to have a hard time getting up. It doesn't look like he is moving much there. So, Joe, why don't we send it to a break while we have the opportunity? Incomplete. We'll wait the flag on the play as well. But we will step aside here on the PDF Sports Network as we have official timeout on the field. Your score, the Pharaohs 22 and the Legion nothing. Stay with us.
You can't have football without barbecue, and there is no barbecue without the Rib Room's Black's Barbecue, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance, serving up rib plates, chicken plates, and combo plates now. To get your official Black's Barbecue order, call 347-837-5762 or Facebook direct message Sean Kelman. Unbeatable Tires and Accessories LLC is your tire for all seasons. Visit us 7 days a week and call us now at 347-879-3100. A tire for all seasons at Unbeatable Tires and Accessories, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance.
Welcome back, and we thank our EFA sponsors as always. The result of that penalty flag was an offsides call on the Pharaohs, hence the free play that developed. So it'll be a 3rd and 5. We come back. Now, getting attended to on the sideline was number 84, Eric Golden, and we believe him to be okay. He's communicating with his coaches, so good to see Golden come off under his own power, and seems seemingly okay. But the Legion lost one of their weapons, Joe, on that play, and so now on a 3rd and 5, they'll be without Golden, who's also their punter and their kicker in the game. So that might complicate some things if on 4th down the Legion have to kick it away. We have movement again, and that time that's going to be on the Legion.
So we had another flag, this time for a false start. We had another player fall down while running a route as well for the Legion.
Right.
Just took a spill off of a cut, and New York gives the 5 yards back. But you said it, Dave, the loss of Golden really does complicate things, especially now if the Legion have to punt. And they also lose a big target now.
Right.
It looks like they're removing Golden's pads and his jersey, so
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be back out there to punt, and that really makes things difficult.
Yep, and we've seen kickers go down in week 1. The Gators lost their kicker, and it didn't lead to too many complications. The Gators had that game in hand, but special teams is a huge part of these games. If you haven't found that out already just from watching our broadcast here on PDF, there's been scores that have happened on special teams, blocks, and the like. 3rd down and 10 for Fantroy and company now. 4 wide receiver set. The look is to the near side and caught, and a nice job coming down with it. Whereas Merced Jr. Ball came out late, but it's going to be Pharaohs football. I think that Merced had it taken away from him, and I think the official, Joe, we might catch that on the replay when we re-see it, motion that the ball would be with the Pharaohs after Sadiq Nathaniel took it away from Merced, who's now on the ground as well, who went down hard.
I'm speechless, Dave. I couldn't see what happened.
Well, the ball definitely was coughed up on the way down, I believe. And when he was down, the ball was definitely out. Now, Was he down before the ball came out? We don't know. But Merced is down still, and we hope he's okay. And it looks like he is. He's getting up under his own power, but for all intents and purposes, it looks like the Pharaohs are going to be on offense here. It's a first down.
Well, they pointed in the direction of the Legion offense.
Yes. So Merced has to come out of the game. Now he's all smiles on the sideline.
That was some catch.
It was some catch.
And a good throw.
Yeah, and the wherewithal to stay inbounds and convert the first down. The Legion continue to have possession. So despite the ball coming out late, I believe they're saying the ground caused that fumble. And so Nathaniel does not have a fumble recovery as he shakes hands with Merced on the sideline before reporting back. So 1st and 10 for the Legion, who are now inside Pharaohs territory after converting a big 3rd down and 10. Snap, and now looking right side, and again in trouble and nowhere to go is Fantroy. Not 1, not 2, but 3 Pharaohs there to bring him down for a heavy loss.
Just nothing that Fantroy could do on that play. Immediately had 3 pass rushers bearing down on him, and it seems like 1 step forward for this New York offense is followed by 2 steps back in most cases, and that's a huge loss on the sack, and there's nothing more that Fantroy can do in that situation except just go down. I mean, there's no time to get that ball out, and I'm not sure there was an open target at that point anyway, and if there was, are they even looking back at their quarterback preparing to catch the football? So
15-yard loss on the play will lead to 2nd down and 25. And there's just not a lot in the playbook for this kind of down and distance. So if you're the Legion, you got to try to get some of this back. But we wonder why they operate on the line of scrimmage as much as possible, Joe. That's the reason. Just not a lot of time for Fantroy to look up. Now he takes another 4-step drop, looking sideline, and there is Merced. Now, did he have 1 foot in, Joe? Patty Toucam says he's in, and the official says he is out of bounds. Did not come down. And we are going to have another look at this on replay, and obviously a lot of traffic in front of the sideline there. Not sure if you'll get a good view of it, but in any event, it is whistled no catch. Now, Merced made the catch. He was just out of bounds, but a nice job again by Merced in traffic on the sideline to make the catch. Unfortunately, though, could not get the 1 foot in.
He took a big hit, too.
He sure did.
After making that grab, and it was awfully close. A lot of foot traffic on that sideline, but Pat is up on a perch, has a better view than you and I, so he also has the ability to zoom in and view it through an LCD screen.
Well, he's giving us the high sign that was a catch, so we're going to go with Pat in this one. 3rd down and 25. The Legion need a big play here, and they're going to need some blocking for Fantroy. Ball spotted at the 40. Pharaohs bringing pressure and nowhere for Fantroy to go. He's going to get gobbled up, a loss of 10 on the play. And we have some whistles coming down as Fantroy is very upset, Joe. He just does not have time to throw. Timeout called by the Pharaohs.
I can't really blame him for being upset as he's not getting any blocking. I mean, the ball is snapped, and it's a 5-man rush. They had at least 5 blocking, might have been 6.
And the Pharaohs look like they brought some heat from the right side, Joe. They might have brought an extra defender from that side. But, again, it's just been the inability of the Legion to really get Fantroy the time to look down the field. And, you know, we wonder, why are they using the sidelines? Why are they using the flats? Why are they using the screens? There's just not enough time to survey the field for Fantroy. And after a really nice play by Merced Jr. got them a first down at the 45-yard line, well, they're at their own 30. Now, 4th and 35 coming up. Obviously, we're going to see a punt, but the sub-storyline here is who's going to punt the football.
That's a great question, Dave, and should be answered momentarily. It looks like it's going to be Gooding.
Yeah, so in case you joined us and missed it, Eric Golden, the punter of record so far, out with an injury, has not reported back in, and the new punter is Gooding. who is backed up really far, Joe. He is like 15 yards away. We'll see if he moves up a little bit. Wholesale changes now. We're going to have a timeout called by the Legion, who need to get themselves situated with their substitutions.
They had 8 men on the field, Dave.
Yeah, well, I think 3 guys didn't get the memo that they needed to be out there. And again, some of the confusion because of Eric Golden not being able to punt. Maybe that set off some chain reaction of guys not knowing they need to be on the field for that one. But also an opportunity for the Pharaohs, Joe, who before this timeout took a timeout of their own to stop the clock, to try and score again before the first half is over. Now, this second quarter has gone a pretty long time. We've seen a lot of passes, but we are under the impression that we are closing in on the 2-minute warning and the end of this half. And the Pharaohs trying to buy some time for another offensive drive. They should get the ball back in good field position.
They should, and trying to get a gauge of about how far into this broadcast we are right now. We did get started a bit late, but we're at least an hour and 20 minutes deep at this point. It's about 4:30 right now, just a bit past 4:30. And we got started, I would presume, somewhere around 3:10, 3:15. So I'd guess closer to 3:10. We're at least an hour and 20 minutes deep at this point, and still have some time to go in this first half as we await this punt from Vaughn Gooding and the Legion. And a Brooklyn Pharaohs score here could put this game away.
So it looks like the teams are set, and we're going to get themselves back in now. There was a question as how much time left, so I was keeping my ear out to hear how much time is left, but I didn't catch it, Joe. But either way, we're coming towards the end. Flag is down, delay of game, and an illegal substitution call on the Legion. So they're going to back this one up even further. Going to have a 4th and 40.
Now, is this the longest 4th down we've seen this year? That's the question. We've seen some long ones, but
No, I don't think so, Joe. We saw a 4th and 43 in the Demon Knights game. I still remember it because it was a 4th and 43.
Yeah. Those tend to stick with you a bit. 4th and 43.
And
Hard to forget.
And I remember saying it at the time, too. I think this could be the longest we'll see.
No
Snap
flags
is
here.
good, and it's almost blocked, but getting it off was Gooding. Collins takes it at his own 40. He is very patient, waiting for holes to open up. He's going the entire length of the field. Now turns it towards the 50, the 40, the 30. A huge block that gets flags out everywhere. This one's coming back. An illegal block that I'm not even sure was necessary, Joe, is going to bring this one back, and it's going to negate another Collins touchdown.
Well, Dave, it certainly wasn't necessary, and that was a vicious block in the back along the far sideline. Play had already advanced far beyond that point, and I think the player who was blocked in the back might still be down, at least on one knee, as he went down hard on the play.
Yeah, and there's a lot of activity and a lot of yelling going on the far side of the field.
I think that was
Crackback block is the official call, Joe. So it's coming back no matter what. Spot of the foul, 15 yards from the spot of the foul, and it will be a first down for the Pharaohs. So you got to imagine they're going to get this ball at about the 50.
I think that was William Bolton who was blocked in the back for the Legion. Yeah, he remains down.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of activity there. Guys on one knee, too. Now, by now you've seen the replay, so you get a good chance to see the penalty part of it. And, of course, we'll see if our player is okay. But, Joe, this is a good time for us to step away, let the caretakers do what they do on the field. And when we come back, more EFA Week 5 action. It's the Pharaohs 22 and the Legion nothing. Stay with us.
You can't have football without barbecue, and there is no barbecue without the Rib Room's Black's Barbecue, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance, serving up rib plates, chicken plates, and combo plates now. To get your official Black's Barbecue order, call 347-837-5762 or Facebook direct message Sean Kelman. Unbeatable Tires and Accessories LLC is your tire for all seasons. Visit us 7 days a week and call us now at 347-879-3100. A tire for all seasons at Unbeatable Tires and Accessories, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance.
Welcome back here to N.M. Dorner Field here in Ossining, New York. And player who was down on the play, William Bolton, looks to be okay, Joe. Got off under his own power and, didn't appreciate the way he was crackback blocked. And obviously he's hot on the sideline, but I think the positive is that he's okay and he walks under his own power to the sidelines. And the penalty, Joe, for what it's worth, it negates a touchdown, and it would have been Collins' fourth of the season.
That would have been his first punt return touchdown. He already has a kickoff return that's gone for a touchdown, and he has a pair of interception returns that have gone for a touchdown. So that would have extended his league-leading touchdown total to 4 and would have marked his first punt return that went for a score. But I have to imagine, and who knows, I could be wrong, but he would have to at the very least be among a very select few players in the history of the Elite Football Alliance who's had a pick six, a punt, and a kickoff all go for a touchdown.
Right. And kind of counting down when he's going to get his first offensive touchdown, because we've seen him play some wideout. We've seen him run the ball. And we have a 2-minute warning on the field. So after that punt return, that takes us to 2 minutes. And officially, Joe, the ball will be spotted at their own 47-yard line for the Pharaohs. So all things considered, that punt looked like it could have been blocked by a trio of Pharaohs, and getting it off, and a 7-yard return officially for Collins puts them at the 47. So the Legion escape disaster again. First they avoid the punt block, and then of course by virtue of the penalty, they 6 points wiped off the board from the Pharaohs. There's plenty of time for the Pharaohs to work their offense. Kareem Williams, a part of all 3 Pharaohs touchdowns, as the Gary Mims has come back into the game. That's a good sign. He's on the near side of your screen, right at the bottom here. The man in motion is McDonald, and Williams is going to go back to pass. He's got a lot of time. He is looking left sideline. There is coverage there, but making the catch and in for the score. Touchdown Pharaohs, as it was Mella down the left sideline.
Anthony Mella, the big 6'3", 190-pound wide receiver from Brooklyn, New York, with a big touchdown grab. And that was a 4 verticals look on that play. 3 receivers streaking up the left side of the field. One of them broke off across the middle. And along that far sideline, it was Mella bringing in the 4th Pharaohs touchdown of this game. They've broken it wide open and now lead 28-0.
Absolutely, and again, the coverage not bad, but Mella able to separate at the end. He had a good yard on the defenders and is able to convert 53 yards on the passing play. And Joe, it starts with good protection for Williams in the pocket.
And that's been one of the biggest differences between these two teams in this game. One team has done a great job protecting the quarterback, and the other has not, as the Pharaohs will get flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct with players in the huddle. So
player in the huddle with no helmet on.
Okay.
And that is Reem Williams, who turns around and says sorry to the official. But unfortunately, he gets hit with a penalty.
Easy to say when you're up 28 points.
And it will be an enforcement on the kickoff. So the Pharaohs will kick it off from deep in their own territory. But first, the 2-point conversion, and it will be a 2-point try. Williams continues to stay in the game. He's got Hunter to his right. Hunter was the player who converted the last 2-point conversion.
Well, I got some Derrick Henry vibes on that last 2-point try. Look how big Hunter is in the backfield. He's running at you off a direct snap. Watch out.
And the fake is to Hunter inside. Williams has a lot of space to his left, and that's where he's going. He's going to take it in for the two-point conversion himself. He wanted to throw it, and the two-point conversion try is good. It's 30-0 here with under 2 minutes to play in the first half.
Well, this next drive will be the Legion's final opportunity to take something positive away from this first half, because there really isn't much. Much like last week, their defense came out, got off to a decent start, put together a stop last week early, got a couple of stops early in this game, but things have really gotten out of control now. And I think a lot of that started with the inability to protect their quarterback, Fan Troy. They've given him no time, and that doesn't only demoralize your quarterback, but it also demoralizes your defense, knowing that in all likelihood they'll be back out on the field in 3 plays, because the Legion haven't been able to put much together on the offensive side of the ball. That big play to Gooding looked like it could be an energizer for the New York offense earlier in this half, set them up in a scoring position, trailing by just 6 points. They made nothing of that opportunity, and really from that point forward, it's been all Pharaohs, who now lead it by 4 scores.
Yeah, and if you're the Legion, we know, watching them play in the past, they want to be able to run the football, and they just have not been able to get their running game going. It's forced them to become one-dimensional, especially now that they're down by a bunch of points, and the Pharaohs have just been able to tee off defensively. They have not given Fan Troy any time to throw the football, and the Legion have really been relegated into playing one specific brand of football, and that's right at the line of scrimmage via the passing game. Anderson will kick off from his own 20 after the unsportsmanlike penalty. It's a line drive kick that takes a good bounce, but it's picked up by Barker, who wants to get to the sideline. He squares up at the 45 and gets midfield. So for what it's worth, the Legion will have really good field position to start this, what could be the final drive of the first half. This game was 6-0 after a single quarter, but 24 second quarter points by the Pharaohs, and it's been one big play after another. Pharaohs with touchdown scores of 81 yards, 28 yards, 80 yards, and 53 yards. So if you're a fan of the big play, you've come to the right place.
Well, disregarding the result of this game for a moment, if you're the Legion, you have to get on the board for the first time this year and put that behind you. And a great opportunity to do so right here, as they will start this drive in plus territory just across midfield, and a good opportunity to work on the 2-minute drill as well. But if you're the Legion, you have to put some points up on the scoreboard, and you don't want to come out of this game having not scored through what would be now their first 12 quarters of this 2022 EFA season.
So officials want sidelines clear, as we had a couple of players encroaching on the sideline space. And the Legion will huddle things up. What we would imagine would be just under 2 minutes to play. The touchdown that was scored by the Pharaohs happened right after the 2-minute warning.
Players still shuffling on and off the field, as it looks like we have another Legion player headed for the sideline, but we have a 5-yard penalty.
Yeah, I guess maybe it was for delay of game. I'm not sure, Joe. But the sticks are all sorts of, unless it was on the kickoff. I'm not sure, Joe. But we thought this drive was starting at about the 50. Instead, it's starting at the 46 of the Legion. Still good field position. A chance to do something here right before halftime. Fan Troy remains the quarterback. And the give is up the middle to Romero. He makes one-man miss. He's got the first down and plenty more inside the Pharaohs 40.
And that's one way to beat that Pharaohs pass rush. A great play call there by the Legion as they run the draw play. And the ends for Brooklyn over-pursued it into the backfield. And on that delayed handoff, Romero takes it deep into Pharaohs territory.
And in hurry-up mode from the 35. That one's intercepted. Intercepted. It looked like Hunter got it. And squaring up down the sideline and out of bounds inside Legion territory. They sniffed her out, Joe. They got the pick. And the Pharaohs have the ball back.
Well, they do have a second number 2 on the Brooklyn roster. That may have been Khalifa Forbes. He's listed as a defensive back that came away with the interception. But regardless of who it was, I do believe that was Forbes.
Yeah, good call, Joe. That is Forbes.
I don't think that was the same number 2, but at times things can get a bit confusing with 2 players wearing the same number. Either way, a great job jumping that route. And I think that hurry-up mode that the Legion found themselves in there may have had an impact on that play. And, you know, that internal clock in the quarterback's head being sped up all along in this first half. Van Troy has had to get the ball out quickly and maybe had a bit of extra time on that one, but that internal clock being sped up through the first 30 minutes of this game may have contributed to that interception.
And you mentioned how disheartening, Joe, it is on defense when you're coming right back out after the offense has a series. Well, there's another example. You got a really good play on first down and then a quick interception, and your defense has to go right back onto the field, having not stopped the Pharaohs the last 3 times they've had the ball. And we'll see if the Pharaohs go right back to the air to improve on their lead, as we have about 1:30 left in this one, maybe a little bit over a minute.
Well, the Legion aren't sure how many men they have on the field right now, and they're going to take a timeout.
They do have the timeouts to burn, so they will use one here.
They had 10 men on the field. They initially had 11, and one player came charging toward the sideline. That was Sylvester Trevi, who was initially on the field and then made his way off. That left New York with just 10 players. But this first half, after it was very back and forth, very competitive early on, has gotten out of hand for this New York Legion team. A great play call to open up that last offensive possession on the draw. Once again, looked like they had set themselves up in a position to finally get their first points of the year, but it was not to be, as the following play results in the interception. Great job jumping that route by Khalifa Forbes. And now this Pharaohs offense has a chance to really make this first half box score an ugly one for the Legion.
Well, we have a couple of moments. We can remind you that no teams in the EFA will play next week, Labor Day weekend. And so the entirety of the EFA has the weekend off, and then play will resume the weekend of the 10th and the 11th. You see the schedule on your screen where this week's games, we understand that the Demon Knights and the Bandits will play a little bit later on this evening, as will the Gators and the Bears. They were expected to go off a little earlier. I understand that game might be delayed as far as updates that we're seeing. So right now, this is the only one going off, as Williams once again will look to tuck it down, perhaps run. He makes a move at the 35, backs up, and cannot get out of trouble. He gets about 3 or 4 yards, and the clock will continue to move unless the Pharaohs call for time, and they do.
There was more than one player on that Brooklyn offense not moving on that play. May have been a design run for Williams. Didn't look like that was the case initially, but he took off rather quickly, and Brooklyn will use a timeout. I believe that's their second that they've burned.
And getting back to finish our thought about schedule, Joe, we do not know where we will be the weekend of September 10th or 11th. What we do know is that we will be covering some EFA action as the schedule begins to round itself out and fields are secured and times and dates are set. PDF will have our next game for you as soon as we know when it will be. You can, of course, keep tabs with us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram page, as you see on the scoreboard that we have for you in between quarters and during halftime. And, of course, our website at pdfsportsnet.com. Go to the My Broadcasts section, and you'll see our lineup along with all the games that we've covered so far this season. Happy to bring them to you here on PDF Sports Network, coverage of the Elite Football Alliance. Back to live action here on 2nd down and 7. In motion is Arzu. Williams looks left, now looks right, now middle of the field, in traffic and broken up. Nice defensive play that time by Terrell Christian. Either way, there was good coverage on Mims down the field, Joe, but it was Christian who broke things up.
And we've seen some good one-on-one coverage from the Legion in this game, but covering any of these receivers for Brooklyn one-on-one is a very tough task, and getting that second man in there to break it up, that time it was Christian, is certainly a help to these defensive backs, and they've been left on an island more than once throughout this first half, and we've seen Brooklyn make them pay. Williams had some very nicely thrown balls, and we saw a great catch earlier by Mims and another great catch by Mella.
All those receivers running fly routes leaves a lot of open space in the middle for Williams to be creative with his legs. Let's see what they do here on 3rd and 7. With time ticking down, Williams, 4-step drop, looking left all the way, and sideline to Mella is complete. He will have the first down at about the 21-yard line. So needed 7, got 10.
Well, you certainly understand the Legion not wanting to get beat over the top, not wanting to leave an opening around the end zone, but they gave up that first down rather easily. A lot of room there along the sideline for Mella. Really wasn't bumped much and got a free release as he broke that out route toward the far sideline just outside of the 20, as Brooklyn will snap it from the New York 21-yard line.
Outside the shadow of the red zone here, Pharaohs with plenty of options. I believe I heard someone say 1:10 left, so plenty of time if that's the case. I believe the Pharaohs have 1 timeout remaining. They took one before the 2-minute warning and took one earlier on this drive. Williams looks middle of the field, hesitates, pump fakes, looking for room, manufactures some time off to his right. He gets hit as he let it go. Back of the end zone, touchdown, Pharaohs! It was Mims who got separation, was left on the back of the end zone, and Williams manufactured his time, and another big play, touchdown.
What a play by Williams to somehow get an accurate throw off into the corner of the end zone. Mims is in for the second time in this game. Nearly had a third earlier. It was called back on a penalty, but Mims showing his explosive playmaking ability, settled down in the corner of the end zone, was left all alone. There were a lot of Legion players in the area, but none of them close enough to the Brooklyn wide receiver to prevent that touchdown. But how about Williams and what he's done in this game? A huge touchdown run, extending plays with his legs as well, and making accurate throws down the field, extending plays and making throws under duress as well.
Yeah, you saw the replay, but again, inexplicable to leave Mims that open near the back of the end zone, that back pylon, despite the fact that Williams was being harassed in the backfield. That's way too much space to leave Dakari Mims. And that is a run by Hunter all the way in, like direct snap to Hunter. I don't know if they were expecting that, but he takes it in. His second 2-point conversion of the game. It's 38-0, and I believe that's the end of the first half of play. It has been all Pharaohs, especially in the second quarter, where they spread out 32 points in the corner and take a 38-0 lead into halftime. What we will do is we will step away for a few minutes, and when we return, we'll get you ready for the second half of action. From Ossining, New York, it's the Pharaohs 38 and the Legion 0. We have reached halftime here on the PDF Sports Network. Stay with us.
You can't have football without barbecue, and there is no barbecue without the Rib Room's Black's Barbecue, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance, serving up rib plates, chicken plates, and combo plates now. To get your official Black's Barbecue order, call 347-837-5762 or Facebook direct message Sean Kelman. Unbeatable Tires and Accessories LLC is your tire for all seasons. Visit us 7 days a week and call us now at 347-879-3100. A tire for all seasons at Unbeatable Tires and Accessories, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance.
Welcome back here to Ossining, New York, site of EFA football Week 5 action between the Pharaohs and the Legion. You see the score on your screen, 38-0, thanks to a 32-point second quarter by the Pharaohs. Joe, the Legion get the ball first in the second half, and right now they're just trying to do something positive to salvage this game.
It's been a very similar script each of the last 2 weeks for this Legion team. Their defense came out strong. They got a stop early in last week's game. They had a big stop early in this game, or at least came up with a couple of big stops after a big play on the opening drive for the Pharaohs. But nonetheless, this Legion offense just hasn't been able to put the pieces together yet. Still looking for their first score of the season. They have to muster some pass protection. It's not Fantroy's fault that he can't get a throw off. They're just not getting the blocking for him. He hasn't had time in the pocket. His internal clock was sped up throughout that first half. It resulted in his lone interception, and it was a big one as it nearly went back for 6, but a good job by the Legion to recover and eventually make the tackle on that particular play. But the Legion, as you said, Dave, getting the ball first to open up the second half, and they need to get on the board for the first time this season. They really want to put that behind them, and even though this game has gotten away, they still have that to play for, and I think that still means something.
3 players back deep, and it is taken by Becker, who makes one man miss at about the 30 and gets past the 40 to the 43-yard line. So nice job. That's hit by Barker. I apologize. Missaid his name. But the Legion will have the ball once again in pretty decent field position to start off a drive, and that's one thing that we've seen pretty consistently. The Legion have been able to start drives from, inside their own end, but close to the 40, 45. We've seen one of their drives start inside Pharaohs territory, so they've been able to start the drives in good position, and now they just got to move forward. And thought Barker got past the 40, but the ball spotted at the 40. Forward progress stopped there. And so we'll see what the Legion have for us here to start this one off. One of 3 games in the EFA. The other games have not started as of yet, but the Demon Knights are playing host to the Bandits for the second time this season. And then we have the undefeated Gators taking on the New York Bears, and probably one of the more marquee games of the season so far. That game will get underway towards the tail end of this game at Betsy Head in Brooklyn. Romero, nowhere to go as he is taken down behind the line of scrimmage. A tackle made by Dimitri Spence. And again, the run game just not there at all today, Joe.
That was a good play by Spence. He pursued that play from the backside as he was able to chase down the back Romero, who had some running room in front of him around left tackle, but he is taken down once again behind the line of scrimmage. Another negative play on first down, and that's been a recurring theme throughout this game for the Legion.
2nd down and 13 officially. Pharaohs showing a rush of 4. We'll see if they hang the rest of their defenders back or if they send pressure on Fantroy. They do. They rush 6. The throw is to Merced in the flat. He's looking to turn upfield. Minimal gain, about a yard on the play, making something out of nothing. But the Pharaohs are bringing the heat, Joe.
And they haven't stopped doing that all game long. I can't recall more than 1 or 2 plays where they dropped back into coverage. And one of those plays was a blitz look where a couple of the linebackers decided to drop back, as was the play design. And that was one of the few instances in this game where Fantroy had some time to survey the field and make reads. But you can see it early in the second half, a running play to open the drive, a quick screen pass on 2nd down. They're trying to get the ball out of his hands quickly, but inevitably they wind up in these 3rd down and long situations where they have to pass. And in those situations, the Legion have not been able to protect their quarterback.
So 3rd and long, 3rd down and 12 officially here on this play. 3 wide receivers in the game. Extra protection, but the pressure is there on Fantroy. He's going to get bottled up and sacked. I believe that's the 4th sack of the game on Fantroy. There were 3 Pharaohs in the neighborhood, among them Tevin Brown. That was Troy Duncan who picked up his 2nd sack, and also in the neighborhood was number 93, Tyanis Mausen. On 4th and long, it looks like fixing to punt will be the Legion. Now, should mention that their punter and their place kicker, their tight end as well, Eric Golden, out for the remainder of this game. And coming into punt earlier was Vaughn Gooding, and he will be the punter again. He got off a pretty good punt his first time out.
Definitely not a bad effort on what I would presume was his first punt attempt of the season, but I do believe they were flagged on that setup as well, had to move back before he was able to punt it. It was an illegal substitution.
And Mims is back deep, but he was near the sidelines, actually. He's nowhere near the middle of the field. I don't know if we'll pick him up late. That's a bouncing ball, and it's bounces down at about midfield, and it's heading out of bounds at about the 45. So minimal yards on that punt, about 20 yards, but the heat was coming, Joe, as that one skipped in on Gooding.
It almost seems inevitable that at some point, if the Legion continue to punt the football, that we will see a blocked punt, and we had one earlier. We talked at length about that play after it happened. It was a golden opportunity for this Legion team blocking a Pharaohs punt, and instead Brooklyn ended up returning it for a touchdown. However, that touchdown was called back on a flag, so it will be Brooklyn football. They'll start this drive from right around their own 45-yard line, and as this game progresses toward its conclusion, we will take a look ahead to some of the matchups coming up 2 weeks from now, as we won't have any games played on Labor Day weekend. The EFA will return the weekend following that, and on the weekend of September 10th, we have 3 very big matchups on the Elite Football Alliance schedule.
Yeah, we'll get to them right after this play, Joe, but we don't know where we will be on the weekend of September 10th or 11th, but we will have a good one for you, no doubt. 1st and 10 for the Pharaohs. They are at their own 45-yard line. Great starting field position. Reem Williams still in the game. Gets one over in the flat to Arzu, and Arzu is on a foot race. He's got the 30 and is shoved out of bounds at about the 25-yard line. A gain of 30 yards on the play. And it's going to be 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line.
And we've seen a lot of these short passes for the Pharaohs going for big gains since the start of the second quarter. They've clearly identified a weakness in this Legion defense. Some of it has been personnel matching. I mentioned it earlier. Pharaohs spreading the field, coming out with 4 wide receivers. The Legion initially only coming out with 4 defensive backs, 7 in the box, 4 of those on the defensive line. That's a tough personnel matchup, and Pharaohs continue to take advantage where they can and have done so since the second quarter.
1st and 10 for the Pharaohs. First play inside Legion territory in this quarter. There was movement up front, and now the play is whistled dead, as looks like the defense came in unabated. Player down on the Pharaohs gets up quickly. It will be encroachment on the defense. And so it'll be a 1st and 5 for the Pharaohs from officially in the red zone at the 20-yard line.
You touched on it earlier, Dave. The Pharaohs scored a record 70 points last weekend. I think it's safe to say that with how quickly they've gotten the ball deep into Legion territory, we might be on record watch here this weekend.
Well, he scored 32 alone in the second quarter, and that's tough to do. But they scored every time they had the football in that second quarter after a 6-0 first quarter lead. The give is Williams keeping it himself. He gains what looks to be the first down, makes another man miss, now backpedals and goes out of bounds. And Joe, he's favoring that ankle as he went out on his own. And in a game where the Pharaohs are up 38-0 in the third quarter, Reem Williams has just hobbled to the sidelines.
Well, that is exactly what I was talking about earlier, and some may say commentators jinx. I would say I don't want to hear any of it, but you never want to see that happen to any player, but certainly a player like Williams, who's so vital to this Pharaohs team, and he immediately was hobbled. Now, the good news is he did not take a hit on the play after tweaking that ankle. He was able to angle himself out of bounds, as it looks like we're having words exchanged, the two teams going back and forth. Unsportsmanlike conduct against the Legion is the call. So Williams is limping his way to the bench, and you have to think his day is likely done.
Yeah. The call was unsportsmanlike conduct on the Legion after the play was over. A player without a helmet in the huddle, who still does not have a helmet on, Joe. But this is going to be a 1st and goal as a result of it. 1st and goal from the 7. And took my eye off Williams, but we'll see if we can get him on the sidelines. It looks like he's conversing with his teammates and isn't getting attended to, so that could be a positive sign. That's Hunter on the inside, and the give is up the middle, but nothing happening that time as the first carry of the game for Michelle Harper, or Michael Harper, not sure how that first name is pronounced.
And Williams is headed back out onto the field.
Well, that was quick.
Sure was. He's got a much better recovery window on the sprained ankles than I do. I've been out of commission for at least a week or two at a time with many of those over the course of 29 years.
No, perhaps just precautionary in measure coming out, and maybe when he was backpedaling found it a little funny there, but he's back. And on 2nd and goal from the 7-yard line, no official gain on that last play. Williams will take it in the shotgun, and he will give off to Hunter up the middle. Nothing is there, as once again the Legion able to converge. They hand Hunter a loss of 2 on the play. And we're going to have a 3rd and goal from just inside the 10.
And I'm interested to see how aggressive the Pharaohs will be here. You know they're looking to score and perhaps top their performance from last week, but now with Williams having left the field hobbled just a couple of plays ago, you have to wonder if perhaps the scramble is taken out of the equation, at least for now. And
right.
I think if he's back out there, he's going to be going at full speed. I don't think he's going to hold back, and I'm sure he wanted back in this game. Apparently so.
Yeah. If you're that Pharaoh coaching staff, I don't know how happy you are to see Kareem Williams dancing around and running the football here, up by 38 points in the 3rd quarter. But that's the competitor in him. The fake handoff, and now the throw right near the goal line, and in for the score is Mims. Touchdown, Pharaohs.
That's a hat trick for Mims, Dave. His 3rd score of the game, and a breakout performance for him. And we've seen what he can do. We spoke about it during our first broadcast of the season, how prolific he was last season. Comes over to this Pharaohs team, and more of the same. A coming out party for him against the Legion here this afternoon as another late flag comes in, and I think they're going to get Williams perhaps for an extended celebration. We'll see.
44-0 is our score. We'll see, as Joe said, what the result of this penalty is.
It was Mims on the extended celebration that I saw.
It is on the quarterback.
Oh, it was on Williams.
Williams, yeah. After the play, penalty will be assessed on the kickoff, and we're going to see a 2-point conversion to try and give the Pharaohs a 46-point lead. For Williams, his 5th touchdown pass of the game. He also had a rushing touchdown in the game. And as Joe mentioned, for Mims, the hat trick, his 3rd touchdown catch of the game. The give is up the middle. No, it's Hunter taking it himself and in for the score. His 3rd 2-point conversion. That makes the score 46-0.
That play has been the go-to on the 2-point tries for the Pharaohs, right up the gut. And it has been successful each of the last 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. I think Williams may have had a run in there as well, but Hunter's been heavily involved in the 2-point tries, and this Legion team right now reeling as they trail by 46 and are still in search of their first points. Not sure what they can look to do here. Not much has gone right for them in this game, but we touched on some of the things they did well last week, and that didn't carry over into the early portion of this game. But specifically here today, the pass protection just hasn't been there to allow Van Troy the time to find receivers down the field. And when they've tried to throw it underneath and get the ball out quick, or tried to run the football, the Pharaohs have rallied and made the tackles easily. So not sure where you look to go offensively right now if you're the Legion.
Still plenty of time, though. I've been trying to keep a clock, Joe, from here on in this 3rd quarter. I'm about at the 6-minute mark, so we're 6 minutes in, so we'll see. Legion have plenty of time to try and draw up something offensively. And we never got to talking about the games in 2 weeks, Joe, because the Pharaohs just wouldn't allow us to with all the playmaking they've been doing on the field. But 2 weeks from today or yesterday, we'll have the Gators against the Pharaohs, which is obviously a premier matchup in the EFA. The Demon Knights will take on the New York Bears. And depending what happens with Gators Bears, that could be a huge game as well. And then you have the Legion and the Bandits, which obviously we expect the Legion to fall to 0-3. We don't know what the Bandits will do against the Demon Knights later tonight, but that could be a battle to see who wins their first game of the season in that one. Everybody wants to avoid that bottom rung in the standings. So 3 interesting ones in 2 weeks.
The big question is, where will we be as the Legion may have their first score?
And they will. Glenn Boyd. There are no flags down. We have players without helmets and blocks up the field, but there is no laundry down. And Joe, off of the short kickoff, Glenn Boyd scores the Legion's first points of the season. And he never hesitated, Joe. Went straight north-south and scores the 6.
That played out perfectly for the Legion. That kick rolled just beyond all of the blocking they had set up along this near sideline. And that sure developed quickly, Dave. As I looked up and Boyd was off to the races, he scores virtually untouched up the sideline, breakaway speed. And the Legion sideline is fired up. They are on the board for the first time this season. And we'll see if that lights a fire under this team moving forward in this game. Still a lot of time. A big deficit to overcome, but we'll see if they can get on track offensively. You don't know how a score like that can bleed over into the offensive side of the ball, perhaps even onto the defensive side of the ball as they look to give the ball back to this offense following this 2-point try.
Well, they say that sometimes the best offense is a good defense. Well, sometimes the best offense is a great kickoff return, as we saw there. Unofficially 60 yards on the kickoff return leads to the Legion's first points of the season, and that's got to feel great for this team. They don't care how they were going to get it. We mentioned it at halftime. Offense, defense, specials. As everybody has a fumble on that play, Fantroy cannot handle the shotgun snap. The Pharaohs fall, and it doesn't matter. And it's 46-6. The score will remain.
Well, after the kickoff return goes for the touchdown, if there's one thing that you really don't want to see, it's an unsuccessful 2-point try because of a botched exchange or a fumbled snap or a miscue like that, or even a penalty that moves you back. You want to try and build on the score that you just came up with, and instead the Legion make another error that was basically unforced.
Yeah, and that's what we've been talking about all game, about the Legion being sometimes their own worst enemies. And that's another example of that. And, of course, that's been an area that has been working for the Legion. Of course, the snaps, we saw an errant long snap on the last punt that skipped in. But that time, I think that was just Fantroy's inability to handle that. So the result of all this will be a kickoff for the Legion, who will kick it off to the Pharaohs, down by 40. And in a game like this, in the middle of the third quarter, score is more irrelevant at this point. The Legion just need to piece together something positive, obviously, to go into their next game. The Pharaohs want to maintain a good, clean game. They want to get out of here still playing good fundamental football. And they'll be
without injury.
Yeah, and, you know, Joe, sometimes in a game where you've routed the other opponent, sometimes the only thing you will focus on are the 1 or 2 mistakes that you've made in a game like this, and that kickoff coverage will be one of those mistakes that the Pharaohs coaching staff will point to as things that they need to clean up when they start playing some of the league's better teams like the Gators and the Bears. And we'll see what other teams rise to the occasion later in the second half of the season.
That Demon Knights Bears game on the 11th is going to be a very telling game. It's going to show us a lot about where the Demon Knights are this year. And they're in a sort of a middle ground right now. They're coming off of a season where they were at the bottom of the standings, had a big impressive win over the Bandits in Week 2 after a tough loss in a lopsided game against the Gators in Week 1. They've been off for a couple of weeks, and they'll have the Bandits again. And you don't want to look past any team, but the way the Bandits have struggled, if the Demon Knights can take care of business and move to 2-1, we'll learn a lot about this Demon Knights team, that is, against the Bears the weekend of September 10th.
Very short kickoff, ends up being taken up to about the 46-yard line for the Pharaohs, who will take over. Remember, injury earlier in the game to Legion's kicker Eric Golden, who also plays tight end, has led to a shakeup in kickoffs and punts. The Pharaohs will take over.
Well, I have to say, I am a huge fan of the lines judge, Dave.
I do too.
I love this guy.
A lot of
Pat, get him on the camera.
When he needs his crew on the sideline.
Shout out to the lines
yes,
judge. He's right by the down marker, Pat.
He makes it known.
This guy has been a one-man show. We need him up here. Give him a headset. He has had a fantastic day, along with all the other officials.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. In a game like this, they've done a fantastic job.
I'm not sure I've ever seen anything quite like what I just saw.
The handoff is up the middle to Davin Collins. Collins makes a one-man miss. There is flags down. He does have the first down, gain of about 12 yards on the play. But whistles will break things up, and we have a holding call on the Pharaohs.
Well, speaking of Collins and getting back to the action, I said it earlier, Collins had a chance, were it not for the penalty, to have a pair of interception return touchdowns, a kickoff return touchdown, and a punt return touchdown. Now it looks like he's going to make a bid for a touchdown on offense as he gets the first carry on this drive, and it looks like all of the Pharaoh starters remain in the game. So I think it's safe to say they're making a push towards perhaps 71 points.
Maybe. Outdoing themselves from a week ago when they put up 70 against the Bandits. They have 46 so far and counting. Now, that holding call came further down the field. So instead of a 1st and 20, it's about a 1st and 13. That was the second carry for Collins on the game. I think the second time that the Pharaohs were called for a hold on one of his carries. And the give, once again, is to Collins. Once again, makes the first wave miss. Gets into the second level and takes it just inside Legion's territory, right at the midfield stripe. A gain of about 8 on the play. It will be a 2nd and 6.
Now, my question is, do you think the Pharaohs are, well, I'm sure they're aware that they scored a record total points. Do you think it's on their minds at all how many points they scored last week?
I would think so. I think
it definitely is.
When you beat a team 70-0, that is what really stands out, is the score. And you always think, well, if you could score 70, we could score maybe more the next time around. And they still have another game against the Bandits too, Joe, and another game against the Legion later in the season. Fake give in up the middle. Williams is going to look deep and finding an open Arzu, but he drops the ball. That's a tough drop for Arzu, who was racing in left to right and had the ball about 20 yards up the field.
That's one of the rare occasions where the Pharaohs have failed to make a big play on offense in this game. We haven't seen many things go wrong on the offensive side of the ball, and that gives this Legion defense a chance to get off the field here on 3rd down. We'll see if they can come up with a stop.
That was a well-thrown ball by Williams in stride to Arzu. He simply dropped it, got a little bit of a razzing from his sideline, but a chance here to make up for it on 3rd down and 6. And an even bigger opportunity here for the Legion after scoring their first points of the season to potentially get off the field. 2 safeties very deep, Joe, about 20 yards off the line of scrimmage. A lot of respect here for these burners. Williams looking sideline. Wide open is Mims. He makes one-man miss at the 35, and he is off to the races. Touchdown, Mims. 50 yards.
What a move by Mims. He catches the curl route. There was about a yard or 2 of space near the sideline. He hesitates and then accelerates straight past the entirety of the Legion defense. That is a golden sombrero for Mims. He has 4 touchdown receptions in this game, and the Pharaohs are not letting up offensively. They continue to pile it on as they now lead it 52-6.
52-6, and again, is just a simple 7 yards and out, Joe, on the pass. Williams completely on the same page with Mims. They were giving him so much space, Joe, to prevent him from going over top, but an inability to take him either out of bounds or take him down right at the, at the 40-yard line. Instead, he goes the rest of the way in for a touchdown, and that's just a great play by Mims.
One of many by this Brooklyn team throughout this game.
6th touchdown pass for Williams, who gives to Collins. Collins lowers his shoulder and goes in for the 2. You can hear that pop from here. They shoulder to shoulder, but Collins got the better of it, converts the 2. It's 54-6.
Some collision on the goal line, and Pharaohs are now within, that makes it 2 scores of reaching 70 if they convert.
If they convert the 2-point conversions, for sure. 16 away from 70, and obviously 3 scores away from potentially breaking their own record set just 8 days ago.
Now, we aren't sure if the clock has been running throughout the entirety of this quarter. We have seen running clock in the second half of at least 2 games so far this year.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I was keeping the clock. I did let it go through the 2-point conversion, and I'm about 9 minutes into the third quarter. So you got to figure we're in that, 4, 5, 6 minute range left in the third.
We're about 3 hours past where this game started. We had an hour and 56-minute first half, and there was probably about, I'd say at most, a minute or 2 on each end of that video recording on our hard drive. That was action, or I should say that was prior to the action. So we had about an extra minute on the front and maybe an extra minute on the back. But the rest of that was from the first whistle and opening kickoff until the end of the first half. So about an hour 55 for half number 1, and we could easily be on our way to a 3.5-hour game.
Could be, especially if the scoring continues, because we have a lot of stops for that as well. Kickoff is up, and it's taken by Merced Jr. Left side of the field, makes one man miss, sidesteps another, gets to the 40, and is out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Another good return by Merced Jr., who's been very active in this game. And we'll see the Legion's offense for the first time since the early stages of this third quarter. They scored their only points via a kickoff return by Glenn Boyd, who really, Joe, has been very quiet this entire game as a wideout, and that was his first touch off of a return. He's on the sidelines now, but I think that might have been Boyd's first touch of the game when he went in for the score.
He's been out there quite a bit. If I'm not mistaken, he got some work at wideout last week, and I saw him on defense several times during this game. He is listed on the roster as a wide receiver, so he certainly did get some of that work last week. And
yeah, there he is, number 8. Just panned away from him. Oh, we got a dog on the field.
Everyone loves the pets, and we do have several spectators who have brought their pets to the game. And
see, Joe, that's a good dog because he stays on the sideline. Like my dog right now would be at that O in the middle of the field looking to make friends with people.
All right.
Got to have him on the leash. But that is a good, well-trained dog right there.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have left my dog off the leash along the sideline. He's a camera guy.
Fantroy again under pressure, and he is going to get taken down again. And Fantroy is having words with either the officials or his own offensive linemen. And he is slow to get up, but now does. But a loss of 6 on first down via the sack. And it just seems to be a recurring theme, Joe, that every time Fantroy takes more than a 2 or 3 step drop, he's just got yellow jerseys in his face.
And credit to him for standing in there each and every time. He has not had more than a second or 2 to throw on just about any play in this game. It's been very rare where he's had time to drop back and make more than a read or 2 before you have at least 2 or 3 yellow jerseys in the backfield. And the Legion just haven't been able to pick up this Pharaohs pass rush. Simple as that.
Legion looking for anything positive offensively, and they also need to hold on to the football because their defense has been getting punished by the Pharaohs on the opposite end. They'd love to have some sort of sustained drive here, take some minutes off the clock. 2nd down and 15 after the loss of 5. Barker is in motion. The give is to him, and there's a fumble. The ball is down. Whistles blow. There is a flag down on the play. Whistles everywhere. Illegal forward pass is the call, Joe. There is no flag. It was an incomplete pass. That's a good call by the officials too, Joe, because I was wondering if that was more of a pitch or a handoff. It was a pitch, and it'll be 3rd and 15.
That play was a disaster, unfortunately, but the officials right on top of it get the call right, and I like the idea on the play call.
Yeah.
It just wasn't executed, and oftentimes that's been the issue, lack of execution. We haven't seen a lot of these passing plays get a chance to develop for the Legion because they haven't blocked. It's all a matter of execution on that end. They need to pick up this pass rush, and I understand it's easier said than done. We mentioned the sack leader on this defensive line as well as some prolific players in the secondary.
Pharaohs back off a bit on the rush. It gives Fantroy time to roll to his right, and that ball is trapped and caught at about the original line of scrimmage. Making the catch was Daewon Kind. It'll be about 4th and 9, Joe, on this play. You would think the Bandits are going to go. We'll see, though. Remember, their starting punter is out of the game due to an injury, and their last punt only went for 20 yards.
I think if it's a 4th and less than 10 at this point, in Pharaohs territory, certainly, maybe not as much from here, though they are close to midfield. I'm not surprised to see them going for this, but they just haven't shown the ability to pick up the pass rush, which is concerning for your quarterback.
Let's see if the Pharaohs bring a rush here. They do have 5 down linemen. Make that 4. And 3 more showing blitz. They send 6. The pass up the middle and over the head of Gooding, incomplete. And the Bandits will the Legion will turn it over on downs, and the Pharaohs will take over.
An all-out blitz there for the Pharaohs, and they didn't even try and hide it. They stacked the box. You said it, 6 came in. They had 2 players deep and 3 players across underneath.
And even if that's a perfect throw and catch, Joe, I don't know if Gooding has the first down. It looked like he would have been about 2 or 3 yards short anyway.
Words continue to be exchanged between the two teams, and the frustration certainly boiling over for the Legion. But
Fantroy got into it a little bit as his coaches now have to separate him and bring him back, escort him back to the sidelines. And it's not sure, obviously, what's been said, but in a game that has gotten out of hand and did in the second quarter, tempers will be flaring. Our score, you see it on your screen, 54-6 in this one, and the Pharaohs have scored every time they've had the ball in the second quarter on. And they're going to have the ball 1st and 10. And looks like that's the end of the third quarter, Joe. So we are at the end of 3. They're going to switch sides. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, fourth quarter action. It's the Pharaohs 54 and the Legion 6.
You can't have football without barbecue, and there is no barbecue without the Rib Room's Black's Barbecue, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance, serving up rib plates, chicken plates, and combo plates now. To get your official Black's Barbecue order, call 347-837-5762 or Facebook direct message Sean Kelman. Unbeatable Tires and Accessories LLC is your tire for all seasons. Visit us 7 days a week and call us now at 347-879-3100. A tire for all seasons at Unbeatable Tires and Accessories, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance.
We are back here. First play of the fourth quarter. Williams going back to pass, and he finds in the middle of the field, and that is Mims once again, breaking away from everyone. Touchdown! 45 yards. Mims with his 5th touchdown reception. Williams with his 7th toss, but this one's coming back, Joe.
We were caught up in Mims taking it to the end zone. I missed the call.
I did too, as I was looking at the celebration going on in the end zone, but I did see the whistles, and I saw the tail end that it was going against the Pharaohs.
How does he do it, Dave? It looks like he catches the ball underneath the coverage and then somehow manages, with a burst of speed, to break through the secondary and outrun the entire Legion defense. It's happened at least 2 or 3 times.
Well, the call was an eligible receiver downfield, so they'll move this one back. It'll be 1st and 15. But, Joe, it just looks as if the Legion are giving Mims way too much space because they respect him going over top, but then they can't make the tackle against him when he's in front of them. So it's kind of, damned if you do, damned if you don't here. If you're the Legion, you have got to limit his ability of space and traffic. This is Hunter up the middle, and he is tossed down after a good gain, about 6 or 7 on the play. Got the penalty yardage back and a little bit more, so it'll be about a 2nd and 8 coming up.
Legion, early in this game, we saw it. Limited help in the secondary. They were playing 4-3 defensive look. They changed that at some point during the second quarter, began to come out with some additional defensive backs. But as you said, Dave, they've been giving a big cushion in the secondary, especially on 3rd downs along the sidelines.
Well, you can't let guys run through the middle of the field making catches if you're not going to wrap them up on the tail end, as Hunter scampers and gets a little bit closer to the 1st down marker as the Pharaohs now running the ball here. It'll be a 3rd and short coming up. Say about 2 on the play, 3rd and 2 or 3. Maybe less.
So just thinking back to earlier in this game now, were it not for penalty flags, Mims could have 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. Well, actually, there was the one return that was not Mims. But either way, flags have certainly hurt. And there is a throw in the flat, and I believe that is Collins, Joe, or is it Arzu? I'm not sure. No, that's Collins, and he is going to be just short. Just short. I think he tried to extend, and he's out at about the 2-yard line, and a flag down well after the play. Some extracurricular activity.
That was an emphatic toss of the flag by the official along that far sideline. He launched that thing at least 20 feet into the air.
Well, it was definitely after the play, and it looked like Collins tried to extend. We'll see the replay, but it looks like Collins tried to extend the ball past the pylon at the same time. Unsportsmanlike conduct on the defense, so this will give them half the distance to the goal, which will probably put the ball at about the 1, maybe even in closer. 1st and goal. Again, just another play where the pass is only 3 or 4 yards down the field, and the rest of it is Collins just making people miss, and almost turned that into his 1st offensive touchdown of the season. As Joe mentioned, he's got a bunch, but they've all come on special teams or on defense. Timeout is called by the Legion.
So the Pharaohs will snap it from, it looks like, the 1-yard line following that personal foul, and their opportunity to surpass their point total from last week. Really just about all there is to keep track of moving forward in this game. The outcome already decided, and while we have a break in the action, we'll take a look ahead to next week's games once again. You mentioned that this Pharaohs team will take on the Harlem Gators. That's the big game on the schedule. I should say not next week per se, as in 7 days from now, but the next week of Elite Football Alliance action will feature the Gators and this Pharaohs team the weekend of September 10th. Now, I know they want us to cover that game, but the venue where the game is being played may not allow that, which could result in us covering either the Demon Knights and the Bears or this Legion team once again and the Bandits. That's something that will be decided during the next couple of weeks, but if there is a doubleheader perhaps with the Demon Knights and the Bears, along with the Legion and the Bandits, we can cover that. So definitely some options, but we already spoke about this Pharaohs Gators matchup that's coming up in about 13 or 14 days, and the Demon Knights will take on the Bears coming off of a matchup against the Bandits today. Bandits looking for their first win. Demon Knights back in action for the first time since 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and the Gators playing the Bears today. And if the Bears should win that game, and the Pharaohs obviously are going to hang on and win this one, then all three of those teams would be 3-1 at the halfway point of the season. So that's going to make for a very feverish end to the season. They give up the middle to Hunter. There is flags down. It is in the backfield in the area of holding. Illegal shift, and it will be against the Pharaohs, so they'll back it up, and we'll try the again on 1st and goal from about the 6-yard line. So yeah, there could be a logjam at the top of the standings. Obviously, if the Gators beat the Bears later today, then they would have sole possession of first place. They'd be 4-0, and the Bears would level to 2-2. But either way, the standings are kind of shaping up, and we'll talk a little bit about playoff scenarios in just a moment, as we've learned a little bit of that as well. Williams, the fake to the inside. He's running right. He looks end zone, and there is the touchdown, and that, I think, is Collins. It is his first offensive score of the season, officially 6 yards on the toss, and it's 60-6 in favor of the Pharaohs.
Pharaohs, as I said before, simply not letting up, and Legion well aware that this Brooklyn team is not going to ease up as they approach their point total from last week. Pending the 2-point try, they're now 1 score away. And we mentioned 2 of the 3 matchups in a couple of weeks already. The final one will be the Legion and the Bandits. And if the Legion drop this game, which it certainly appears they will, the Bandits then play the Demon Knights later today. If they drop that game, you said it earlier, Dave, both teams will be in search of their first win. And for the loser, I think it's safe to say their season's probably over.
Yep. You would think that for sure. Williams' touchdown pass on that last play, his 7th of the game. That is a day for Kareem Williams, who's played the distance, obviously. Hunter's in at quarterback. The give inside is a fake. He's looking corner, and it's incomplete. Right at the goal line, that pass was broken up, and so the score will remain 60-6. Now, Joe, we've learned a little bit more about the playoff scenario. What we've been told is that will stay fluid through the rest of the season. They'll make a decision right at the very end whether there'll be 4, 5, or even all 6 teams that make the playoffs. But right now, the league leadership is leaning towards there being a 5-team playoff. The 4 and the 5 teams would play one another as a play-in game, and then from there it would be a straight-up semifinals and final, 1 versus 4 or 5, 2 versus 3, and then obviously the 2 winners playing the championship. So that's where the league is leaning, but we've been told that that'll remain a fluid conversation, and as things mature through the league and the schedule continues to get played out, they'll make a definitive decision later on.
You get a scenic look at our venue, courtesy of Pat Gilorenzo on camera.
And it's a beautiful venue out here.
Is.
I mean, really got the entirety of the place to ourselves here. And gorgeous day, obviously, as we're still celebrating summer. And that fall weather has not hit us yet, Joe. Obviously, we are outdoors here broadcasting the game. We had some threats of rain early in the week. That is not even remotely close to being seen here. So we've been very lucky in that respect. And, Joe, we will not carry the EFA next weekend, but we want to tell everybody who watches us and watches this program that we have some big news that we are about to announce this week, with hopes by Tuesday, Wednesday, we will be dropping a pretty big news item on our website and on our social media accounts, so stay tuned, as that one is a bouncer that ends up into the hands of Barker. Barker once again looking for the sideline, and he gets shouldered out of bounds at about the 35-yard line. So while we will not be covering the EFA next weekend because they are idle, we may be busy next weekend. Let's just put it that way.
I certainly will be. At the very least, I'll have some other business to attend to as well, but I'm going to make it a point to be sure that I am on hand to help us carry out our responsibilities for a potential big new client for our streaming services here at the PDF Sports Network, and we look forward to what next weekend will bring. I may be pulling double duty that afternoon.
Yeah,
We'll
I think we're going to see that a few times this season. I know that we'll be working some games for Rutgers University as well in Newark. We'll be helping out Raider Vision, and some of PDF talent will be lending itself to their operation. So we will get ourselves out there. Of course, Joe, a member, and many of our team, a member of CSI Sportsnet for the College of Staten Island. So that's where you'll see a lot of our PDF talent dripping over from CSI and vice versa. So we have our feelers out into different things, and we'll be covering some different organizations as well throughout. Same great professional coverage that you see here for the EFA. And, of course, we're looking very much forward to continuing coverage of the Elite Football Alliance as well. So the Legion down by a bunch, 60-6 here in the fourth quarter. Van Troy, the give to Merced Jr., who was in motion from the jump, and he gets maybe back to the line of scrimmage, perhaps a yard. It's taking the teams a lot of time to separate after each play, Joe, and just kind of hope that this fourth quarter moves along and everybody keeps their cool and composure. Officially a gain of 1 on the play.
We've seen a lot of very physical plays in this game, many of those coming in the first half. We had a huge block in the back. We had that collision over the middle, which resulted in the loss of punter for the Legion, Eric Golden, and he has not returned to the game and will not return, but a lot of big hits scattered throughout this game. It's a very physical play and certainly a lot of jawing back and forth between the two teams as well.
Van Troy goes back to pass. This time has a little time, and that one was almost intercepted, and now it is. A great job to stay with it and pick it off, as Merced Jr. was the only person in the neighborhood. Once again, flags fly well after the play, and I'm not sure I got a number, Joe, on that last breakup. It could have been Nathaniel. It could have been Marcus Spann. I'm not sure who ended up with it. It looked like Nathaniel trapped it against his body and ended up coming down with it.
Well, our help to my left, Andrew Rotundo, is saying he trapped it under his leg.
Yeah, it definitely came off. I don't know if it was first touched by Merced or if it went off of his hands, but it proved to be great concentration, and the Pharaohs bench just erupted when the interception was made. I don't think they expected their player to come down with it. But we'll see it on the replay who exactly that was and give them the proper credit. Now, there was a flag at the end of all this. It was after the play. Unsportsmanlike on the Pharaohs. So that'll back them up from where the play ended, which was at about the 22-yard line of the Bandits. No matter what, the Pharaohs are going to have the ball back midway through the fourth in very good field position following the turnover.
Well, this Pharaohs team has done it all today. They have a receiver who's caught 5 touchdown passes, or was it 4? Did it get called back? It was 4. Could have easily been more.
Right.
Hard to keep track. We had a lot of big plays come back as a result of penalty flags. But this Pharaohs team has done it all in this game, and they're setting themselves up to head into that matchup with the Gators, really riding high.
And now the quick give is to McDonald. McDonald gets past the sticks and keeps things moving at the 25-yard line. McDonald was in motion on the play, and the quick little toss to him, shovel pass. But Kareem Williams still in the game. 7 touchdowns for Kareem. Played William Patterson University in Wayne, New Jersey. Almost forgot where William Patterson was, Joe. It's been a while.
Didn't know they had a football program.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Wayne, New Jersey, and A lot of these players playing at Division 1s, 2, and 3s, and some just with some high school experience. Some who've played overseas professionally as well. Arzu now lining up almost directly behind Collins here on the near side. Williams looks right, now looking in the corner, and that one is thrown low in the direction of Mims again. And that one I think just got away from Williams a little bit. He kind of stuttered on that toss. And so it'll be 2nd and 10.
He was under a lot of pressure. The pocket was collapsing, but right there they made a bid to get Mims his 5th touchdown of the game. They've tried it multiple times already throughout the last couple of drives, and there was certainly an opening down the field.
Well, I don't know how many more Mims touchdowns Mims needs, but, I mean, he's got a bunch already. Took over. We mentioned how Collins had the league lead in touchdowns with 3. Well,
they're tied now.
Mims is over that in this game.
Mims has 4 and Collins has 1. They're tied.
And there's the give to Hunter in the middle, and he scampers down for a gain of about 7 yards. He's bearing down on another 1st down for the Pharaohs. Good to see the Pharaohs running the ball now, milking that clock a bit. Ball spotted at the 19. 1st down markers at the 15, so it will be a 3rd down and 4. Chances are Williams will be putting this one up unless he tucks it down and runs for it himself. Let's see what he does. Mims is at the top of your screen. You might want to keep your eyes on him. Funny snap that gets handled by Williams. He creates some space for himself, now doubles back. He's all the way back at his 40, and he's kind of just settling down. Now he throws it back of the end zone, and a tiptoe catch is made. Touchdown Pharaohs. I believe it was Mella again, Joe.
I'm not sure, Dave. I have number 6. That would be
Arzu. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got.
How do they do it,
bit.
Dave?
Well, I think Kareem Williams, he almost faked me out too. It was almost like a penalty was called, and he was just kind of lollygagging around towards the end of the pocket there. He was down close to the 40-yard line, steps up, and somehow the defense just loses Arzu inexplicably. 66-6.
Initially, I thought Williams was trying to hide the football next to his hip. He sort of stopped moving and began running slowly toward his own sideline, then spun around into the backfield before accelerating forward.
For Arzu, his 2nd touchdown catch of the game. He had a 28-yard touchdown catch. Now the run up the middle, and they flea flick it back to Williams. Williams is under duress, and he gets rocked down to the turf. So the 2-point conversion is no good, and the score remains 66-6.
Williams out there is an Iron Man.
Gee whiz.
He took a big hit, was scrambling around the field on the previous plays, been spending a lot of time scrambling in this game, not because of poor protection, because there have been running lanes, but he's burned a lot of energy out there on these plays, a lot of prolific plays, and he's right back out there for the 2-point try, perhaps playing on a sprained ankle. A lot of the time, those sprained ankles don't get bad until after the game, so you can finish the game at hand. Now, where he goes from today remains to be seen, but he'll have an extra week to rest ahead of their Week 6 matchup with the Gators, and now this Pharaohs team is 1 score away from breaking their own record. We'll see if they get another possession.
Second touchdown of the 4th quarter for the Pharaohs makes it a 66-6 game. They scored 6 in the first. They scored 32 in the second. Scored 28 in the third, and now 12 here in the fourth. 66 total. I think that comes out to I think it was Andrew, 16 in the third.
Andrew was laughing.
Yeah.
He
well,
was,
listen, I am paper and penning this thing, trying to keep
be
track.
Paper and penning
I know. Andrew's got the best job in the house. But we'll get you some of this scoring summary at some point, in maybe after this kickoff. Anderson gets through. That's a great kickoff. That's over the head, and it is touched by Merced Jr. Has to pick it up at the 5. Now chases the sideline, gets to about the 25-yard line. That's a beautiful kickoff. But the lone touchdown in the first quarter was an 81-yard bomb from Williams to Mims, as once again players need to be separated and flags are down again.
Well, the Legion were petitioning for a face mask call. Looked like there may have been a face mask on the play. Now, it was tough to tell from this angle, but the way that Merced Jr. went down, I think there may have been a face mask. Now, the call came from the back judge behind the play, the head official. That's where the flag came in from, not from the sideline.
As we wait to get an official signal from the referees, the Pharaohs with 32 points in the second quarter. They had a 28-yard touchdown pass from Williams to Arzu to make it 14-0. And then an 80-yard run by Kareem Williams made it 22-0 with the 2-point conversion. A 53-yard touchdown pass from Williams to Mella with the 2-point conversion made it 30-0. A 21-yard touchdown pass from Williams to Mims made it 38-0 by halftime. And then in the second half, the Pharaohs had a 9-yard touchdown pass from Williams to Mims. 2-point conversion was good, 46-0. The Legion responded with a 60-yard kickoff return to make it 46-6. The Pharaohs then a 50-yard touchdown pass, Williams to Mims, made it 54-6. And then the last two, 6-yard touchdown pass, Williams to Collins. 2-point conversion fails. That makes it 60-6. And then a 19-yard touchdown pass, Williams to Arzu, who scores for the second time. 2-point conversion, no good, 66-6. Satan is happy. He's got his score. And we are getting ready for the final few minutes here of this fourth quarter.
Dave, I could have sworn you just said Satan is happy.
Satan is happy, 666. There's sixes all over the scoreboard.
I was perplexed.
You who dropped an Abraham Lincoln drop in the last one are going to get on me for dropping Satan at 666.
I was just baffled. I was completely lost. I looked at Andrew. I'm like, with my eyes, I spoke to him and said to him without saying a word, did he just say Satan is happy?
Well, he's usually
perplexed.
not happy, Joe. You know why? Because you are going to struggle to find 3 6s in a football score anytime.
Yeah.
So
imagine you had 2 6s in the pool for this game. You're a winner.
Oh, my
Right
goodness.
now, you're a winner.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
you know, there's definitely a shot. That's our final.
Right. I'm sure there's been some 16-6 games, some maybe some 26-6 games, 26-16.
Yeah.
But you'd be hard-pressed to find 66-6 in any football score around the country. So we've got ourselves a real unique one here. And this one isn't over. There's about 5-6 minutes left, I would assume. Van Troy's back, and he slips and falls underneath the waiting tackler was Shaquille Black. Now, we don't have an official stat for sacks in this game, but that's got to be up to about 6 or 7 at this point easily, Joe.
Yeah, and we don't have a tally on quarterback pressures either, but for every sack, there's at least 2 or 3 of those, perhaps more. And you can look at all the dropbacks in this game, and just about every single one of them has resulted in a quarterback pressure, and Black's been a big part of that.
Yeah, he sure has. We've also seen a lot of Troy Duncan as well come in. 3rd down and 20 in a recurring theme for the Legion all game long. They will have to try to get it right in 2 weeks against the Bandits, who have had some similar struggles. A lot of movement at the front. Looks like this will be whistled dead. And we will see what the call is. It'll be a false start on the offense. It'll be 3rd down and 25 as the Legion continue to move backwards here. Now, there is a chance in 2 weeks, Joe, we're going to see the Legion again against the Bandits, depending, of course, on venues and who plays where. But the Bandits have had a lot of struggles here in the early going. They lost to the same Pharaohs team 70-0 a week ago. And the Legion, we could see them struggling the last 2 weeks against the Gators and the Pharaohs, 2 of the better teams in the EFA. And we are going to have an official timeout. 2-minute warning. So that is the 2-minute warning. So we are under 2. And so, Joe, now the race is whether the Pharaohs can score again in the final 2 minutes to of course, overtake their league best 70 points that they put up last week, an EFA record.
I think there is zero doubt they're going to try.
I have a sneaky suspicion you're right, Joe.
If you remember back in week 1, they were taking on the New York Bears. It was the end of the game. The result was decided. They were throwing for more points. They were throwing for the end zone from their own 20-yard line. So they're trying to score. I'd be shocked if they don't.
We made a big mistake in saying that they would be lining up in victory formation. I don't think we've seen that in any game.
I won't make that
this
mistake
season.
again.
No way. Victory formation means 4 wide and sending them out, sending them over top. But it's going to be a 4th down and 25, and I think at this point the Legion will be lining up to kick it away. Collins is back deep along with Mims, and that's a tough sight to see if you're the Legion looking down the field and looking at those two guys. They have been playmaking all over the field all season long.
The way the Pharaohs have been getting a little bit creative with some of the play calls and the 2-point tries and an offense, I wouldn't be surprised if they draw something up for these two on the kick return.
Could be interesting for sure. Right now they're lined up at about midfield. Collins a little bit further up the field than Mims. Mims has scored 4 times in this one. Collins has scored once, all via the arm of Kareem Williams, who has, I believe, 8 touchdown passes in this game and also ran for 80 yards for a score. Type of games that really have a really hard time getting duplicated on the stat sheet. Somebody at some point during this week will try to sit down and sort out these statistics from the Pharaohs, probably through our broadcast. And they're going to be pretty impressed with the totals that come out of this one, Joe.
I think that is a very safe assumption. It has been a prolific day for this Pharaohs offense. We mentioned it at the top of the show. They trailed only the Gators in points per game, and I think it's very likely that they will take over first place in that category following this weekend of action. Gators do have a game.
That snap goes over the head. It's now tried to kick quickly. Now let's see who fell on top of it. It's going to be a safety, Joe. Looks like the Legion got the ball back, but it was recovered in the end zone. And really there's nothing you could do if you're Vaughn Gooding. That one came in on 2 hops, and he tried to quick kick it, but there was 2 or 3 yellow jerseys in front of him, and he did well to just smother the ball in the end zone.
Well, I said it earlier, Dave. Once the punter, Eric Golden, went down and we saw some of the snaps, it was only a matter of time before one got blocked. The Legion almost got through the rest of the game without any catastrophic blocked punt, or in that case, it was nearly a blocked punt that went for a touchdown. But I think with how poor that snap was, a safety was the best case scenario there. It wasn't going to get any better than that. And now Pharaohs will get it, in all likelihood, in very similar field position that they would have had it in otherwise. And they need just 1 score, and that would bring them to 74.
Yeah, 68-6 is now our score after the safety. So officially the Pharaohs scoring for the first time via their defense in this game. We've seen a special teams touchdown scored on a kickoff return by the Legion. We've scored plenty of offensive touchdowns, obviously, from the Pharaohs, and now a defensive score. So we've seen them in all 3 ways officially here today as we begin the evening as well. And the kick will be from the 20-yard line. We'll see whether they decide to punt it or kick it from the tee here.
I'm just happy the score isn't 66-6 anymore.
Satan's very upset, Joe. Was not a fan of the safety. So it looks like number 11 is getting set to punt this one away. That is Perot John Charles. Remember that we did have the 2-minute warning sound, I believe, before the 3rd down that the Legion ran, which was an incomplete pass, and then, of course, the safety. So now, in the dying moments of this one here, Mims and Collins are adjacent to one another, and that one hits off of a front man, and the ball is going to be downed there at the 40-yard line. So that one was shanked. It did go off the chest of Michael Simonian, the linebacker, who certainly was not expecting that one to come to him, Joe. But the Pharaohs able to converge on it, and they take over 1st and 10 at the 40 in the closing moments of this game.
Well, I'm not sure what experience Jean Charles had punting the ball. You mentioned he was going to be the one to send that safety kick away, but I was definitely watching that play with my head on a swivel to see where that ball was going to go, because I'm just not sure what type of kicking experience Jean Charles had. And if you're on that Pharaohs return team, not expecting that one, probably not a great excuse in that situation, though it turned out all right once they had possession.
Yep, and that was the 3rd different punter of the game for the Legion, too.
Yeah.
Obviously, the first one replaced due to injury. Now, we don't know if Gooding got shaken up on that last play where he had his kick blocked and then he had to recover the fumble in the end zone, but potentially he might have gotten shaken up too. You don't see that often, but victory formation, Joe? I don't think
I
so.
doubt it.
But Kareem Williams not in the game.
That's probably wise.
Right. Hunter will be taking it out of the shotgun, and he will look to throw, and he finds his man. That's Mella. Mella going east and west. There is a flag down. There's a lot of flags down. He's out of bounds at about the 25-yard line. Did get the first down, but I think 3 different officials tossed flags on that, so they all saw the same thing.
The Pharaohs sideline was incensed. They did not like it.
Well, we'll pay attention to the official in the white hat. He will make the call for us, and we'll break it down here. But Hunter took the shotgun snap and was tossing the ball right from the get-go. And this one's taken a little while to sort out here. Like I said, I think 3 different officials threw flags, so just making sure they each saw the same thing. Illegal block in the back for the Pharaohs. And it will be enforced from the spot of the foul, and they will back things up. It'll still be 1st down. And the ball's going to be placed at about the 44-yard line, so it will cost them about 4 yards of real estate. It'll be 1st and 14. Hunter once again working through the shotgun. Collins is in motion left to right. And the ball's in the middle of the field and caught, and looking for more inside the 15. That was McDonald again. 1st down inside the 15. And we have whistles. I don't know if somebody's calling a timeout here, if the Pharaohs are, but game is down to the precious seconds here. The Pharaohs looking to punch another one in and hit the 70-point mark. However, we do have whistles here. And I believe it's a timeout called by the Pharaohs.
Yeah.
And they are going for it, Joe. There is no denying that.
I never doubted them. There was no question in my mind after watching them close out their Week 1 victory over the Bears that they would try and score again.
Yeah, it's interesting to see because it's not an anomaly. I mean, we've seen this in every single game that we've covered. Teams going for the jugular, really no mercy at this point. They want to score every time they get the football. And we'll see. These are the things that sometimes teams remember a little bit, Joe, down the road. Now, these 2 teams do have to play one another again. It will happen in the last week of the regular season. These 2 teams will meet up. It will be a Pharaohs home game when that happens, and they play at a couple of different venues. So, of course, we'll learn where that game will be later on this season.
Still a lot to be decided in the Elite Football Alliance as this weekend marks the midway point of the regular season schedule. 10-week regular season, 8 games for each of these 6 teams. And for the Legion, it will be an 0-3 start. For the Pharaohs, it will be a 3-1 start.
1st and 10 from the 14. Hunter is still the quarterback. He is going to go back to pass, looking middle of the field, caught and in the end zone for the touchdown. I believe that was McDonald again, Joe. I could be wrong, but there's the 70-point threshold. There is a flag down, so hold everything. Personal foul.
He's roughing the passer, Dave.
It is a touchdown, yeah, roughing the passer call as the helmet went down below the knees. So officially 14 yards. Hunter to McDonald.
Well, if you're a team like the Bandits or the Legion, the two teams that the Pharaohs have played the last couple of weeks, I don't think this is something you'll forget heading into your second matchup against this Brooklyn team. And we'll see where the Bandits and the Legion are at that point in their seasons. But this is certainly not something these teams will easily forget next time they meet this Brooklyn squad.
And, Joe, the Brooklyn Pharaohs have gone up over 70, but they're not leading by 70 like they were last week. They'll need this 2-point conversion to match their 70-point win last week. It's 74-6. Now, Hunter, with no one in the backfield with him, he might tuck this down and run. He is going to go for that far sideline and that pylon, but he will not get it. And so the score will remain 74-6 in favor of the Pharaohs.
So what you were saying, Dave, is that there's a chance they may try and score again?
Well, if they want to win a game by more than 70, because they
largest
set
margin
that
of victory
record,
ever?
They set that record
Oh, boy.
last week. Now, I don't know if physically they will even have enough time. I mean, maybe they'll get the kickoff here. And I've officially run out of paper to keep my scoring notes on, Joe, so I really can't afford another score here.
It's all right. Foreman to the rescue. Here we go.
All right.
Let's hope you don't need it.
Right.
The big question is, and I asked this question last week, ahead of the last drive of the game, would the Legion try and push the ball down the field or be content to run it out?
I don't know.
Last week they were passing.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll have that time. I think that we're going to see a kickoff here, and that'll be curtains on this one, Joe.
Well, as you can see, taking a look at the twilight sky, it has gotten a bit darker here from when we started.
Sure.
The sun beginning to set. But I must say, a beautiful facility once again. Unfortunately, about 10 or 15 feet to my left is a beautiful press box that we did not have access to. The door is locked.
Right. Oh, there we go. And
there it
see
is.
it there.
So close, yet so far.
Yeah.
So close.
It's a good look. And if anybody from Ossining is checking this out and seeing their field here, we'd sure love to get into that box the next time, as some good vantage points. And we believe if we are here again, Joe, it'll probably be deep into the fall perhaps. And it's going to get a little colder out here. We all know how cold Andrew gets. I mean,
we do.
He was giving me the shutter sign 2 weeks ago, and it was like 86 degrees in Hillburn, New York for the Bears game.
That Andrew guy's not all with it.
So
wow, he says. He doesn't have a headset, so I can say whatever I want.
So, Joe, the roughing the passer call will be enforced here on this kickoff. So that's why the Pharaohs are kicking off here right from the 50-yard line, and players are back deep. Barker is there. I don't see Merced Jr. anymore back there. I think his day might be done. Instead, I see a number 6, but I don't have a number 6 on my roster. And it will go into the direction of Barker, who takes it at the goal line. Another really good kick. Barker scampering towards the sideline. Does gain the 20 and is spilled at about the 22 by Collins. Lots of whistles, and that is the end of the game, Joe. I heard somebody say that's the ball game. Let's see if we get the official signal from the officials. I believe so. Both teams are going to their respective sidelines, Joe, and this one is a final. Your final score here. from the Dorner Complex in Ossining, New York. 74 for the Pharaohs and 6 for the Legion. The Pharaohs improved to 3-1 on the season. They will, of course, have next week off just like the rest of the EFA, and they'll get prepared for the Harlem Gators in 2 weeks. And for the Legion, they fall to 0-3 this season. They will be back in action right here at Dorner 2 weeks from now when they play host to the New York Bandits. So that'll do it for us here. Once again, your final score is 74-6 for Patty Toucams, for Andrew Rotundo, for Joe Foreman. I'm David Pizzuto, thanking you once again for joining us here on the PDF Sports Network for a coverage of the EFA. Thanks for tuning in, and remember to follow us on all of our social media handles and, of course, at pdfsportsnet.com.